chandeliers glow. We'll sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. But let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
April 23rd, new Coke hits the market. July 13th, Live Aid raises over $50 million. July 19th, Krista McAuliffe is selected to be the first teacher in space. October 18th, the NES is released in America. 1985 brought us all this and more, and we received them wearing shoulder pads, neon colors, high-waisted jeans, denim jackets, leg warmers, and spandex. Lots of spandex. We're going to take you back to that summer to see some huge cinema hits and forgotten classics of 1985. So top off your glasses, get comfortable, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and we'll fire up our DeLorean to take you back to the summer of '85, right after I tell you what I'm sipping on.
Last call is streamed before a live audience.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken! The Kraken!
Why is the rum always gone?
'Cause I got it! Welcome, salute, and happy Friday to all of you. Hope you all are doing very, very well. Let's get this Friday going. Why not, right? Let's get the crew in here, starting with the lovely Netter of Netters Network. How you doing, my number one cheerleader? And what you sipping on?
I'm doing okay. Had a little bit of an upset tummy today, so
yeah, same here.
It's fading. Right now I'm drinking a Rockstar Pure Zero energy drink because for some reason I'm really tired today.
Well, you know what?
But I'll probably end up switching to water.
We didn't get our regular morning one, and I think it completely threw us both off. That happens. And in case we're not doing too well by the end of the stream, our designated driver, Agent Boomer, how you doing, my friend? What are you sipping on?
I'm doing great, and I'm sipping on an old-fashioned.
Are you really good, man?
An old-fashioned lemonade.
You
That's what
got
it says
me.
on the bottle.
You got
old-fashioned lemonade from the Public Stellar.
There you go. There you go. Started out with talking about the summer of '85. I thought you were going to say old-fashioned original Coke, not that new stuff they put out in the summer of 1985.
They released that around the time Stranger Things season 3 was out. Coke made a new batch for Something in Giggles, and I actually tried some, and you know what? It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. I get what people were getting at the time. It was not bad, but guys, it's not Coca-Cola. You know, if you're going to create a brand new formulation, why is this any different than all the other colas out there, whether it's Pepsi or RC or whatever else was out there? And they were like, Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola, bring back Coca-Cola. So they brought back Coca-Cola, but as you said, it wasn't bad, and it did sell, so they put it out as Coke 2. But interestingly, and I know there's probably a business model behind this that I'm unaware of, what ended up happening is instead of it, and they sold it in all the ways that Coke sells their Coke products, but predominantly it was being sold in 2 liters, and it managed to make its way predominantly, eventually, into the dollar store market. So you would go in and get these big 2-liter bottles of Coke 2 for $1. You know, and it was sitting there alongside off-brand sodas and RC Cola, which isn't an off-brand, but it does tend to go to a lower price market.
Then let me guess, it went to Ollie's.
Well, Ollie's usually is where it goes if they have way too much stock and it's going to go off. You know, they're concerned about the date, or they're discontinuing it. And you know, back in the 80s, they didn't have an Ollie's. So,
what is Ollie's selling now? Easter candy? Because they always
sell
this.
Everything.
No, but they always sell the seasons when they're out of date. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And honestly, you know, candy that's you know a quarter of a year out of date, still not bad. So yeah, pick it up while you can. Plus, let's face it, those seasonal candies way overpriced.
Yes, they are.
I want to thank Ruby Hoof so much for gifting a membership to Drew G. So Drew G, welcome back to membership, and Ruby Hoof, as always, thank you so much for growing our community. You are truly a wonderful gift, not just for your gifties. I hope everything is doing well with you and yours over there. And I would also like to thank Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube, who is also constantly supporting this channel in so many ways. Not only is she a wonderful blue wrench, but she also gifted a membership, this one going to Netter's guest from last night, Master of the TDS. So thank you so much. He obviously will not be seeing this tonight because it is now sundown. But he will probably see this when the weekend is over, and I hope he enjoys membership as well. I want to apologize to Big Al. Big Al Presents. I did send you a DM, Big Al. I am sorry I didn't make it to the shark anniversary earlier today. I was just feeling off between Liquid Lunch and now, and I had myself a bit of a lie down.
And I think I know what it was. We both had chorizo and eggs really late last night, or I should say this morning at like 3 a.m., and I think that was it.
It messed us up. And we got to bed so late.
Oh, yeah, we didn't go to bed until after 3.
I was super tired. So, yeah, we got to remember, we're not young and spry, and, the taco-related foods and the late nights are not going to be very nice to us anymore. So, But ussarn G, welcome, my friend. He said to Netter, I've thumbs up. I'm commenting. I, however, am doing hard working in the cool mosquito-ridden evening, which is much better than the heat of the day. I don't know. Those for me, both can be very, very challenging.
And actually, I want to put it out there. I know, at least in the Midwest area, we apparently are having heat advisory warnings that the heat index is going to go up to something like high 90s.
There you go.
So be very careful if you're outside. Don't stay outside too long. Make sure you have water with you to keep yourself hydrated. And if you burn easy, put on sunscreen.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. And I lost myself here. Yes, I agree with you, JPRPH1. God bless Ruby Hoof and all of her family. And let's see.
That reminds me, I was a substitute paper boy when I was, I think, 19. And I had to work in the evening for 2 weeks. Oh, that was a bizarre experience. It's not. It's the humidity. It's the weirdest job I ever had, and I'll never do it again. But it was an interesting experience.
I get it. Yeah,
being a paper deliverer is not worth it. It's just not.
I'll tell you what. There's something about, especially when you're young, in the summertime, getting up early to do a job. So you're talking about newspaper delivery. I used to be a caddy at Butler National here in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
And getting up early, it's still cool. It is humid, but it's still cool.
Right.
But then the heat starts to really crank up, and it's like, I'll talk about my experiences as a caddy someday. But speaking of heat advisories, greetings from the Panhandle of Florida, a.k.a. South Georgia. Mark Daly, welcome. So good to see you. Yeah, are you guys having some heavy-duty heat where you're at there, Boomer?
Yeah, a lot of storms too. Nasty thunder and lightning. Actually, lightning strikes. Yeah,
I've been hearing about that. Yeah. Sir Torin, greetings. In answer to your MeWe DM earlier, we're going to be doing part 2 of tonight's topic next week. I'm thinking, take your time. Let's put your topic off till July, and take it from there.
Basically, Troy was like, let's do all the movies of 1985, and I said, we're doing the summer, and I'm like, well, why don't we
Dude,
split it
I
into
had
2 parts?
no idea, because this,
You're thinking summers now versus summers back then.
I know.
Tons of movies in one summer.
I did not even realize until you sent me the slideshow for tonight. It was the movie that preceded this show over on Big Al Presents. They were doing an anniversary of Jaws.
Right.
Jaws was one that they didn't have a great deal of faith in, and they released it in the summer of, I want to say that one was like 75 or something like that. Oh. And that kind of started the whole summer
blockbuster
summer thing.
Yes.
And then Star Wars did so well early in the year that it stayed through the summer and got tons. Well, and that kind of started the ball rolling with the whole summer thing.
To be fair, I think with Star Wars, it was at late May, right? Like May 23rd, or it was like a few days after my own birthday. And I think typically when we think of summer, we think of June, July, August. But I think the summer movie season starts a little earlier. In fact, I have ours starting tonight. Like the last 2 weeks in May, we start with, because I'm not sure exactly when I said what looks like a blockbuster, and then I'm like, okay, this looks like where the blockbuster starts, because of course.
So this is the thinking behind it. Yeah. They're like, how long is this film going to be in theaters?
Yeah.
How do we avoid as much competition as possible?
Exactly.
So they push it earlier, and they're thinking, hey, if we get it in the theaters before anyone else, we get a good opening week, and then if it gets good word of mouth, then we have legs that take us through the summer. So that's pretty much the thinking, I think, behind that. David Pensack says, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. let's see. Saying hi to each other there, which is always wonderful to see. Of course, my cheerleader is saying, while we talk about remakes with co-hosts Age of Boomer and Netters Network, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Did I say remakes?
That's what it says.
Actually, that's not what I meant to post. Oh, actually, I deleted that one because I posted it wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't delete from...
Because what it should just say is, like, share, subscribe, become a member, which should be, like, right underneath that. Like
like this one right here. Like, share, subscribe, become a member.
Yeah.
You had a couple comments in there kind of woven together.
Yeah, when I realized I posted wrong, I'm like, what did I just put? So I deleted it.
I like this comment. Sir Torrin Clegane, welcome, by the way, if I didn't say it when I talked to you earlier. 1985 wasn't that great. I wasn't even around for it. And deleted scenes also, saying like, share, subscribe, become a member. Salute, deleted scenes. But David Pedsack is saying 1985. What a glorious time to be a teenager.
Peak 80s is 85, I think.
I agree.
We're in peak 80s now. Like, there's no doubt we are now. I mean, to be fair, I feel like the 80s became the 80s in 1980. Like, it was like blast off. But really, by 85, I'm thinking when we look at the movies, this is just pure 80s. It's 85.
And Master Swag King says, hello. Welcome. Good to see you. So glad you are here. Drinking is for white people and alcoholics. I resemble both of those remarks. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's see. Guys saying hi to each other, which is always awesome. Geek Flag with Nate Knows. welcome. Who I believe just got an X account restored after 3 years. Congratulations. 1987 was a better year because September 28th, 1987, Star Trek The Next Generation debuted on my 16th birthday. Well, happy birthday, going back to 87, and yeah, there's something to be said for that. I do recall those days. Who remembers Pepsi Clear? But that was in 92 or 94.
I remember Pepsi Clear. No. So, I know there are people who liked it, but no.
I didn't mind it. I think a lot of people, and here was my thought on it. And I was thinking about this back in the early 90s. I just did a stream. I just did a Liquid Lunch today talking about artificial dyes. Well, let's maybe start talking about caramel colors not being so great for you either. And I was already thinking back then, why do you need to specifically color the drink? You know, it's not necessary. Keep out the caramel color and just leave it be the way it is. And that's kind of how I saw Pepsi Clear. And I also started thinking how cool Pepsi Clear would be as a mixer. You know, that wouldn't change the appearance, especially when you're starting to think like Star Trek drinks and stuff like that. So I was like,
it looks space age, yes. It does,
exactly. But it didn't really last, which is a little bit a shame. This is also why I liked Zima. Zima was okay. It was marketed terribly. Yeah. But Zima makes for a good mixer as well.
I like the bottles that came in. I remember
I
that.
did too, yeah. I did
but no, I remember I also remember Surge. That was the Coke. I want to say it was almost the Coke version of Mountain Dew because they were trying to because Pepsi had Mountain Dew and Coke. Tried with Mellow Yellow, it didn't take off. Then I think they tried with Surge, and I remember the 90s was Surge, Domino's Pizza, and WWF Attitude Era Wrestling, and there was your weekend. Okay, that's what I remember.
Mark Daly says 3 a.m. Bacon or bourbon? You can go either way. I don't know. Both is good.
I had bacon yesterday. I went out. I had a trifecta breakfast with a Belgian waffle, sunny side up eggs, and bacon, like 4 strips of bacon. That was nice.
Yeah. Mark Daly, chorizo. There's a growing number of foods that I enjoy when I eat them. Later on, Not so much. I might have to start rethinking how much I enjoy them in the first place. Tim Hayes says, hail Papa Pacelli. Welcome, Tim Hayes. Good to see you. Troy, you are old. That is vintage, like a fine wine. I agree.
Thank you.
Let's see. Saying hi to each other, which is always wonderful. I will say that nothing compared to 100 degrees to 120 degrees here in Texas. Well, Texas is a big place, and where you are in Texas makes a huge difference on that 100 to 120 degrees. If you are more closer to the coast, you're dealing with the humidity. If you are closer inland, you're dealing with the very, very dry heat. So I don't know why people say dry heat is better than humid heat. They're both pretty miserable for different reasons, in my opinion. Yeah, Nate is having some bad storms around there. You were mentioning that earlier in the week. Please stay safe. Yeah. And last call to Troy Pacelli. The Sky storyline is a real bear, but I think I may have an in for it. Okay. Oh, Sky. Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to that, my friend. Nate says Jaws was released in 1975. See, I was right. They had people lining up around the block to buy tickets. In 1977, Star Wars came out, and again, they had lines around the block, hence the term blockbuster. That is an interest. That makes perfect sense. And that's the kind of etymology that I love to find out about. But a big part of that, see, you also have to think through, why was it that prior to that, they didn't like to release films during the summertime? They figured people were less likely to go to the movies, more likely to be doing outdoor activities.
Going on vacation and stuff, yeah.
And there was that. But they didn't take into consideration, if it's a big enough film and there's a line going out, do you want to be standing outside in the summertime or in the wintertime? See? The Jaws Memories from Martha's Vineyard book is a must for any Jaws fan. Very impressive. That's oh, dude, you're killing me. No problem. My broken heart will heal eventually. I am sorry. Connie Cleary was 14 years old for most of 1985 and enjoyed that year. Yes, I was. Actually, I think I was 14. I was 14 for that too. Exactly. My birthday's in January, so I would have probably been 14 for the whole year. Mark Daly says 87 was the year I graduated from high school. There you go. I was class of 89, so I was a little bit behind you there. That is absolutely right. I had mentioned it on social media. I forgot to mention it. Happy birthday to Deleted Scenes.
Happy birthday.
And Geek Flag says, the caramel color is added to distinguish it from ginger ale color. It is always there for marketing purposes. Yeah, I'm getting tired of putting additives in the food for marketing reasons. You don't know. Just stop. If it doesn't have that color naturally, don't bother with it. You know? Just don't. Just no more. I'll take the heat over the 8 months Michigan winter anytime. I hear you there. Welcome, Wade of Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips. Good to see you, my friend. LOL, I know why you did rum. Fair enough. That will bring us up to date. Let's go ahead and get into the summer blockbusters of 85. Looking forward to this.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start out, and I figure let's start with a bang or an explosion or many explosions. Of course, come on. This is one of the first release summer blockbusters. We're going to start with this one. This is, of course, Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Yeah, so this was where we start getting into the ongoing and repetitive sequels, right? So First Blood. No, what?
Listen, I think the sequel's brilliant, but I'll let you speak. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
This coupled with Jaws, Star Wars, so many other films that came out in the late 70s, early 80s, started this trend of getting sequels. Some better than others. And in this particular case, I think this is an example of as good a movie as Rambo 2 was. It has a very, very different tone from the first movie. It takes what was essentially an action drama,
yes,
and turns
rather
it into
serious film. First Blood.
Yes,
actually, if you look at it.
Yes,
yeah.
it was. In fact, they felt they had to lighten the ending because it went so hard.
Yeah.
If you read the book, you know, but but then it did so well. Studio pushes for a sequel, and so they continued the pivot that they had already done by actually leaving the main character alive at the end of the first movie and going, well, let's pivot into this action adventure film, which again changed the kind of the face of cinema going forward.
So here's what happened. I forgot which director it was who did a Trailers from Hell on this, because that's a YouTube series where they talk over trailers. He thinks that Stallone was actually being rather brilliant, because people thought, this is like where the whole thing with Stallone being dumb and the big dumb action movie comes from, without people realizing that maybe on some level this movie is, I don't know what the word for it would be, satire, almost comedy. It's like it's actually in some ways
pre-parodying the action adventure thing.
It's hard to explain. Like Commando is another one of these movies too, where okay, I have a confession to make. I did not see this movie in the 80s. I think Rambo must have been an HBO staple. I just didn't get around to seeing it growing up. Or First Blood. First Blood I finally caught on regular TV. I finally caught Rambo, I don't think until the 2000s, really. I think even in the 90s I didn't watch this. I think this movie is brilliant because it starts out with Rambo. He's in prison, right?
Right.
Because of course, I guess blowing up half a town in Washington State would get you sent to prison. And his old CO is there, right? And he's like, we want you to go on a mission and get proof whether or not there are still POWs over in Vietnam. American POWs.
And this was crucial too. Again, this is a film very much of its time. We are talking Reagan era, USA, that kind of thing. But you also, again, and it's partially why the era was what it was. You had the boomers and the silent generation still, around and a leading part of the film going crowd.
Yes.
And like people like my mom who had a lot of friends that served in Vietnam, and all this talk about prisoners of war and
that we left them behind and all this,
that were so many left behind.
The
Now
U.S. government said no, we didn't leave any behind. They're all dead. So the plot of this is what we're going to send Rambo over. He's going to take pictures, proving that we didn't leave POWs over there, right? So Rambo goes over. I think he loses the camera, but he goes over there, and what does he find? In Viet Cong encampments, he sees all these poor American soldiers being tortured, strung up, rats are crawling on them. He rescues one of them as proof to bring back with him at the rendezvous point. And then when I guess the one senator or whatever sees that, he's like, pull away. And he's like, and Rambo and this poor POW get recaptured by the Viet Cong. And basically, we didn't expect them to find anyone over there. We can't afford another scandal in this country. No, we'll just have to leave them to fend for themselves. And so then they start torturing Rambo. And then who shows up? over passing by, they overheard communique, and then the Soviets are showing up, and it's basically Rambo gets to go to town on both the Viet Cong and the Soviets in one movie.
You make a great point at how bizarre and ridiculous the plot is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But the important thing is, if you back up though to the prison camp concept.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that prison camp concept is ridiculous. That they would still bother with prison camps so long
they
after.
Probably would have killed the soldiers, unfortunately. Yeah.
At the very least, that's what would have happened, right? Yeah. If we didn't liberate them, they probably were dead. So it really was a matter of, if anyone was left behind, they're not alive anymore. They're not in prison camps like this anymore. But the depiction of these prison camps, and this is again why, going back to the World War II era, veterans that were still around for movies like this, like my great uncle Ralph, he was in a prison camp like that, and it was exactly like that.
What's interesting?
This movie bothered him, but he was glad it existed because he wanted people to know, what people like him had gone through.
I like the fact that Rambo in this movie is actually showing his heroic side. These are his fellow men at arms that the types of guys that he served with in Vietnam. They're all being abandoned by his own government, the same government that and country that kind of treated him like crap too. So he is going to go to the town to rescue these men. And there's a wonderful scene at the end where he shoots up the big fancy computer room. Remember that?
Yeah. We are still dealing with, and unfortunately, this message got across, I think, to myself and my generation, of how miserably we have treated our veterans.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, it did not translate into any sort of action. We still mistreat our veterans, and we are still treating, and we're dealing with it right now. We're up until this current administration, we've been treating illegal immigrants better than we're treating our veterans.
Right.
So, guys, maybe go back and watch some of this. And yes, it's over the top, and it's fantasy, and it's
wish fulfillment, actually. If you think
it is a bit of wish fulfillment.
This movie was wish fulfillment, yes.
But it should spur you on to understand a very real problem. Not prison of war camps from Vietnam era, but the mentality and treatment of our veterans by our government.
But let me see though. There are a lot of good comments here. Geek Flag says, I believe you served in any branch of the armed forces, whether wartime or not, you should be guaranteed a house or of your own. I know that there are a lot of public interest groups, especially if something bad happened to the soldier, like they do, but that's not the government. That's private people, sending in donations and them trying to help these families out. Yeah.
There you go. Boom. As a veteran, I can attest. There you go. Thank you, Storyman Jack.
I think Sir Torrin was saying this was a documentary about the day in the life of Sylvester Stallone. What are you talking about?
I saw that.
Which is funny. I mean, no, it's a great action movie, and I told you I grew up in an Arnold household more than a Sly household, but no, this is a great action movie. It's a great example of a great 80s action movie. It's not First Blood, nothing can be, but this was fun. Yeah.
But Curtis brings up a great point. This is a quote from Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
Yeah.
He does say to Troutman, he goes, "This time, do we get to win?" And if you think about that first in context of the first movie and the message of the first movie, and then the implied narrative of the over the top element of this story, you could almost answer the movie itself kind of answers it. Maybe you can, but you got to earn it, and just let's take a look at this poster for a second. Schwartz. I almost said Schwarzenegger. This was the era that really started that kind of friendly rivalry between the two. This is better than
the Schwarzenegger movie about this summer. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. But
we'll get to that.
there's a reason that I set up the thumbnail for this the way we did. There were some beautiful women in the films of '85 that every teenage boy was looking forward to seeing, but Sylvester Stallone was the one that the 14-year-old boys wanted to be.
Yeah. What was funny about in this movie too, he gets that the Vietnamese double agent that's trying to help get him into the country, and you almost think there's going to be a pseudo romance in it, and I'm thinking, this woman, I think I saw her in the movie Sidekicks. She looks like a super.
Yes.
She's like all disguised, like in her covert outfit. I'm like, this is a supermodel in real life. I'm sorry, this is not. But
well, so this is I joined to get college funds and ended up in Kuwait. Shit happens, absolutely. So, but you cannot dispute. You did get an education. My favorite aunt's father was in Korea. Grandpa Joe was a Marine in the Chosin Reservoir. He lived into his 90s before passing away. Yeah.
All right, should we move on? We got a lot to get through.
Let's do it.
Moving on to Brewster's Millions.
A remake film, by the way.
I forgot it was a remake. I don't know the original. I know this version, the Richard Pryor, where what does he find out? He's like this rich man's son, I think it is, and
son or nephew. I don't even remember.
Like he had a tryst with a woman or something. I don't know. And he's like, okay.
It was interesting because they played the whole racial thing.
Right.
The ancestor, whether it's father, I don't remember, is an old white guy with a lot of money, and Brewster here is Richard Pryor.
And what was it? He could either take like a settlement of like $5 million or something right away, or if he wants the entire fortune, but then he has to lose $100 million to get like the billions or something, or however much. He had to lose like a huge amount of money. It was like $10 million.
If you can spend, I want to say it was $5 million in a certain amount of time, and have no assets at the end of it, and there was a lot of other writers that rules.
He wanted to make him sick of money. That's what he said, right? Yes.
If you do it, you will win $100 million. And one of the rules that makes it very compelling is he can't tell anyone what he's doing.
No.
So, like his good buddy pictured there in the poster,
yes,
and his girlfriend.
They're trying to save him from losing all his money.
They're trying to get him to not spend up all of his money, that he should save it.
Like he actually, in fact, John Candy, I think his character does some investment where he actually gets $10 million back, and he's like, I'm back to where I started. He's like, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
And then he decides to run for mayor, because what wastes money more than a political
But he doesn't run for mayor, really. He runs on a campaign of none of the above. And that's one of the things that resonated the most from this movie, was this whole casting aspersions at the political system, saying, look, both of these parties are idiots. They always have been. Send a loud, clear message. None of the above. Yep. That's what it was all about. He buys a very, very expensive collectible stamp, and
mail something with it.
There's a couple of bankers that were really rooting for him to lose, because they would be able to absorb that all fortune if he failed. Yeah. And they see in the news that he spent millions of dollars or thousands of dollars, I don't remember, on this stamp, and they're like, oh, that's an asset. If he still has that at the end of this, we've won. Ha, we've won. And the girl delivers the mail to them, and they're going through, and there's a postcard with the stamp on it that's been canceled, and it says, having a great time. Thanks, guys, from. So it wasn't an asset.
A fun comedy. You'll notice a trend tonight with a lot of fun comedies, because comedies. I think we still saw them as blockbusters. They obviously were not as high budget as something like a Rambo, but
exactly.
they sold themselves on the star power. That's why you go to see the comedies. You want to see Richard Pryor, and John Candy, of course, was rising at this point too. But yeah,
absolutely.
But moving on to, we have oh no, we won't spend too much time on this. At least we get to see
Tanya Roberts, though. Tanya Roberts
and Grace Jones.
Grace Jones. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I admire that poster, but it's just, this is not a good Bond movie. This might be...
I was just gonna say, I don't actually remember Grace Jones looking quite like that in the movie itself.
I don't know. She was fit though. She was like an
absolutely, I mean, she was fit.
Yes.
She did a photo layout for Playboy, not that kind. Just
I see.
know, and bathing suits and stuff like that.
Sure,
and she was really showing off the muscles.
Yeah,
she was ripped.
But
absolutely.
But still,
Tanya Roberts, on the other hand,
yes,
had done a few years earlier. She had, or maybe it wasn't that much earlier, but a few years earlier, she had done Beastmaster, and for Beastmaster, she did that kind of a Playboy spread as a marketing gig for to
Beastmaster, yes,
Beastmaster, yeah.
Don Coscarelli, the maker of Phantasm, made that. Weak link in the Bond series. This, I hate to say it, I've come to the conclusion that when the actor playing Bond gets too old, the movie's usually going to be bad.
Right.
Diamonds Are Forever is my favorite bad Bond movie, which is Sean Connery, and oddly enough, it's still better than the book. That's how much I hated the book. The
theme song by Duran Duran.
Yeah, that's true.
To a Kill.
You get Duran Duran in there.
This is going to be a recurring theme, pun intended. Some great movie soundtracks with some, or at least my style. Maybe not soundtracks with Birdman style soundtracks, but the pop soundtracks.
Yes. Well, to be fair with Bond movies, though, the pop song and the score sort of go hand in hand because they
usually
rip on each other. Yeah,
exactly.
But moving on to, it had Christopher Walken in it too as a certain genetic experiment of a certain German organization come to fruition. It just wasn't good. And right. Silicon Valley, did he want to steal all the chips or something, the microchips to rule the world? I don't know. It was just not good. Anyway, moving on to, what the heck is this one? This is, I have to make it big now. I can't see it. It is a Littles movie.
I gotta make it big. I can't see it. I see what you did there unintentionally.
I didn't do that on purpose. But apparently, I remember there was a Littles cartoon series on Saturday mornings, which I believe was based on the book The Borrowers.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Yes.
And then I thought, was it a movie first? No, this was a movie tie-in to the cartoon series.
Yes.
I didn't even know this was out. I don't know if anyone else had seen this.
I did not see this in theaters. This was one that we picked up later on cable because my brother was a fan of the Littles.
Oh, Geek Flag is saying Grace Jones wasn't in Beastmaster. She was in the Beastmaster TV show. Oh, that's interesting. No, Tanya Roberts wasn't. Tanya Roberts, the other Bond woman in that, was
exactly. I had forgotten actually that Grace Jones had a Beastmaster time.
Tanya Roberts wasn't Beastmaster. Yes. We appreciate her skills. Anyway, her acting skills.
She was more than topless in that scene. It was also very cold, believe it or not, in California when they filmed that, and you can tell. But
anyway, I never saw this.
Well, there's a lot of stories about her and Mark Singer, and Mark Singer was all chest out.
He was buffed out, yeah.
And so they're running around in friggin' loincloths, and the director and all the camera people and lighting people are all wearing parkas. It's like, son of a gun! So just remember, when you see how tight her skin is, that's because she's friggin' freezing.
My dad always thought Mark Singer looked like a lawyer. He didn't know what he was playing a barbarian for. He said he looked like he should be in a suit. Like, anyway, this is the Littles movie. Nobody here heard of this or cares, but anyway, I don't know. Oddly enough, Studio Ghibli did their own adaptation of The Borrowers, also called The
Oh,
Secret
really?
Life of
Okay.
Arietta. Yep. They did an adaptation of it too. So I don't know, and I think there's been a live action adaptation too. These tend to be maybe the most adapted things.
I love this movie.
I've not seen Fletch.
Movie.
Sell me
Really?
on Fletch. No, I missed this one. Sell me on it.
Really? Okay.
So,
So,
he goes green at some point, or is that a different movie?
Was this what?
Does he like turn green at some point, or is that a different movie with Chevy Chase?
I think that's a different movie with Chevy
Okay,
Chase.
yeah, okay.
This movie played it pretty straight. He plays a detective, and it's very screwball in the Chevy Chase style. This is the classic scene where he goes to he's part of his investigation. He knocks on the door. Beautiful woman opens the door, and she's just gotten out of the shower, and she's got a towel around him. Yes, can I help you? He goes, yes, I need your towel. My car just hit a water buffalo. And that's what starts the conversation. And she was
funny.
wow. She was wow.
Okay, so good movie. It's been on my list to watch. I was actually going to see if it was on streaming, but before this stream, but it's not streaming anywhere for free, or at least I don't want to say for free because when you pay for a subscription, it's not free, but it wasn't streaming anywhere apparently. So I don't know.
There you
why
go.
This one's in
There you
limbo.
go.
This is why we own physical media.
This is one of those ones that I think a lot of people have actually forgotten about. If you didn't watch it back then, or see it on cable, you probably completely missed out on this. And let's face it, I don't think Chevy Chase is, especially because he kind of fell off from films. I don't think a lot of people even remember Chevy Chase that well. So
You missed the perfect line in his movie.
which one?
It's all ball bearings these days.
Oh, that's right. He's got this whole bit where the car's broken down and he's pretending to know what he's talking about. And he goes, oh, it's the ball bearings. What are you talking about, ball bearings? Oh, it's all ball bearings these days.
Oh, funny. Okay.
You're right. I had forgotten that. There's a lot of great lines that come from
So
this.
Well, he did do all those vacation movies.
Yes, he did. That's pretty much where most people remember him now
Yes.
is because of those.
We'll be getting to another Chevy Chase movie through this thing as well. The Goonies.
Goonies.
I
Yes.
did remember. I saw this one in the movies. I remember going to see this. Yes,
I did too. I saw this with. I was on a date when I saw this movie.
Yeah,
I
was
didn't
younger.
watch the movie very closely.
I remembered. I'm thinking. When I was a child, I used to argue that whenever I would see Steven Spielberg's name attached to something,
Yeah.
if he was just a producer, I kept, it's a Spielberg movie. I would just throw his name on anything his name was attached to. I thought he was there directing it and everything.
Right.
I forgot who directed this. Was this Chris Columbus? Or no, wait, no, I don't remember who directed this. This was a Superman director.
Richard Donner.
Richard Donner directed The Goonies. That's right. Yes.
And but again, you're right. In most cases, I would say producer has little direct control over the movie, but the movies that Spielberg produced had a certain
touch,
look and feel. Yeah,
they had a touch.
Whether he directed them or not, it still had that Spielberg film feel to it.
Goonies never die, says Storyman Jack.
That's right.
I remember there was a line in this where Chunk is trying to call the police and they go, "No, this is like the time where you said that was it Iranian terrorists? I think he said, or was it this time where you said those creatures you spilled water on them and they multiply?" And I'm like, that was a Gremlins reference, right there.
Exactly,
But,
exactly right.
The actor who played Short Round, he's in this. James Brolin's in this. That guy's a good cast.
Yeah, it's a great cast of people we know now when they were kids, really.
Sean Astin, I believe, too. Yeah.
Yes, he
He's in this
was.
too.
Yes, he was.
But they have to go find the pirate treasure, or their houses are going to get destroyed to make room for a country club. Right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
and they if they can just find the treasure, the parents can not sign the deal, and they can keep their houses. Yes.
Yeah, and this is another one of those movies where you don't think about it too hard, because I've seen a lot of videos of people tearing the story apart about, oh yeah, but under salvage law and this and that and blah 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 blah, and it's like, shut up, that's not what the movie was. You got to suspend your disbelief. Reality and the story they're telling are not compatible.
It's a kids movie. It's like a kids Indiana Jones movie. That's how I
kind of. That's kind of true. Yeah.
But Curtis Elliott recently watched The Goonies for the first time on Gorillas. It was a great film. I kind of wish I'd seen it as a kid. I did see it as a kid. So yeah, when I was a kid, it was neat. I don't know. You identify with all the boys with the crass humor in the beginning, right? And just know, knocking over the statue of David and said, "Oh, it's fine." He says, "No, you destroyed my mom's favorite part," and they find and they have to try and glue it. You glued it on backwards, and it's like, it's just, anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's good, clean fun mostly. Okay. Moving on to What Is This? Perfect with John Travolta, Jamie. If you haven't seen it, we'll move on. Have you seen this?
I absolutely have seen this one. Yeah.
What is so great?
So this was well Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, there we
Jamie Lee Curtis in a number of workout scenes, highlighting the fitness style of the day, and the whole aerobics craze that kind of came about. I mentioned in my opening monologue something about leg warmers, and this was definitely a film that helped promote that. But in going back and as I was going through
the workout videos and things like that, and just,
absolutely, and going back and thinking about these films as I was getting ready for tonight, I remembered there is a quote from this movie that I didn't remember directly from the movie, but I remember it becoming very much a part of my personality. The line is, always treat a famous person as if they're not, and a person who's not as if they were. I love that line, because, and I realize that really is
makes
how
sense,
I try
actually.
to treat people. I really do try to treat people that way.
Yeah.
You are someone I just met, I don't know, I'm going to treat you like a celebrity and give you all the respect I would give a celebrity. And as a celebrity, I'm going to treat you like you're just another person. Not in a negative way, but in a, you don't need this bull crap. You are just another human being like myself.
Okay. So worth checking out?
Absolutely worth checking out.
Okay. Moving on to Pritzi's Honor, another one I haven't seen, but this is the one I should have tried watching before the stream today. It's Nicholson.
There
right?
is a great a great promotional, I think it was used in some of the movie posters.
It's an old person's movie when I was a kid, let's be honest.
Kind of. A picture of them in what looks like a somewhat romantic, gaze, at each other, leaning a little bit away from each other, so it kind of makes a heart around them. He's got a knife behind her, pointing towards her neck, and she's got a gun behind his head. It's actually kind of funny. There is a certain romantic comedy to this. If I recall the storyline correctly, and I'm not sure that I do, they were both paid killers trying to kill each other, but they end up in a romance.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to look for this one.
I may have gotten that completely wrong. It's been so long since I've seen it. I don't remember. Daryl.
I saw this in theaters. I saw this in theaters also. I believe that this kid is an android, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that, right.
He's a robot, I think, yes.
Yeah.
And I think the family adopts him, and they already have a son or something, and then, like, he's Is he an experimental prototype trying to be used for military purposes, but he's a kid in robot form, or robot and kid? Robot and kid form, I should say. And I never saw this movie. Oh, is this Daryl Geek Flag? I don't remember it all that well. I thought it was passable at the time. Yeah, it's fine. I don't think I remember anything more. What about you? Do you remember this?
I don't.
Is this like was this the inspiration for Data on Star Trek? Maybe this movie.
I don't think so. Actually,
okay.
No.
Well, all right,
I think this came out of that whole era with things like The Last Starfighter and Flight of the Navigator and all that kind of stuff. I kind of lost it in.
I like Flight of the Navigator. But we won't talk about that tonight because it's not on the list. I do want to bring up Sir Turin Clegane's comment, though. Prizzi's Honor was, I believe, the penultimate film in the legendary career of Jack Nicholson. I should watch it.
No, John Huston.
John Huston. Oh, I'm sorry. John Huston. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing things that aren't there. Moving on to...
It's because you're a boomer.
Secret Admirer. I think I had told you to watch this, as I recall, and you did. A while back.
I did, and I don't even really...
I don't remember it either.
Oh, right. I do... Well, yeah, you say Lori Loughlin.
It's a fun 80s teen comedy. I mean, it's not a John Hughes, but it's not bad.
C. Thomas Howell
yes.
and Kelly Preston is the other female lead in this movie. Yeah.
Apparently Geek Flag had seen Daryl over and over again on cable. Okay.
Yes, that it was in the rotation. Lee Wallace, of course, Lee Wallace. Wow, and Fred Ward, whom we lost not too long ago. This was once you got me to watch this again, I did remember seeing this. I did love this movie, and it's available for free on Tubi right now.
It's weird, the poster. What does it say? Sometimes it hits you like... And what I find funny is that I've had women where, you know, if you're stunned by them, by their beauty, it does feel like a brick hitting you, or like it's like you're getting hit by a brick. So I think that's right. Yeah.
Exactly right.
So I do know that feeling. Moving on to the stuff.
I had no idea what this was. And when I saw this poster, I'm like, I do not like this at all.
Have you seen this movie?
I have not.
I'm going to talk to you about it.
Okay.
There's a new product on the market. It's called The Stuff. It's better than ice cream. You know, it stays good forever. You know, you can eat it. You know, can have it for breakfast. You know, make it as a side with dinner. It's better than ice cream. Everything. Well, eventually, if we eat too much of this stuff, you become the stuff, and the stuff is alive. It's almost like the Blob. It's. I haven't seen it for years. It was creepy but kind of comical, and it's all about, you know, like this. Because back in the '80s, wasn't there always some new fad food that came out that everybody had to launch onto?
Yes,
like frozen yogurt. I think frozen yogurt was a big thing in the 80s, right?
Yes, it was. And I feel like we need to get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Looking into this stuff. Want to say hi to Decepticon's Cave of Collectibles. Welcome, my friend. We're talking the blockbuster films of 1985.
I remember in this movie, the kid is like, I don't want to eat the stuff, and the parents, and this is like, eat the stuff. Eat the stuff, eat the stuff. And, you know, it's like this, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with food. And then eventually, I think people, if they eat too much of it, they just get absorbed into the stuff and become.
I'm sure this was a bit of its time. It was a little bit consumerism and gluttony and so forth. I'm sure, but this poster. Think about this for a second, Boomer. Think about it for a second. Yeah, this movie does not look, maybe in certain circles, especially if you're very proud of what you're into this time of month, or this time of year, this month, it might appeal to you, but not to a straight guy.
Yeah, Geek Flag mom didn't let him rent it. She saw the cover, said no. This would happen to kids all the time in the video store. Maybe we should
Yeah.
call it video stores on good old days on Sunday.
Well, maybe your mom saw the same thing I'm seeing and going, this does not look in any way appropriate.
Apparently, Brennan Teno talks about it. The review is well worth it, but I haven't seen the film itself. I think it's worth checking out. It's not bad. Oh, look at that. The stuff is getting a 4K limited edition from Arrow Video soon. That I might have to look into. Thank you, Depensac. I'm sorry. I enjoyed this movie. It's weird. And this one I didn't watch until a few years ago. I actually...
Apparently, the tagline is, you can never get enough of the stuff.
No, but it's weird. It's how, like, it's basically, it's kind of a knock on food fads. And about how people keep pushing the food fad on everybody. And I don't know if there's a modern equivalent to this, but like I said, the 80s, there's all sorts of stuff they would push, right? There's always the new product or whatever. But yeah. This was just, it was fun. Kind of like the Blob, but you're eating the Blob and then you turn into the Blob. Cocoon.
This one was one that I saw again in the theater. I went with my grandparents to see this film on a Wednesday.
Interesting.
Yeah. I did see a number of films with my grandparents. Rocky 2 was another one that I had seen with my grandparents. These summer movies, oftentimes I would see them as matinees with my grandparents because they had the day off. You know, again, I was staying in Ohio with my family at my uncle's marina, but the Wednesdays were the days that my grandparents had off. So I would go early in the morning. I'd go with my grandmother. She got her hair done. She'd buy me a sweet roll and a comic book. And then if she had any shopping to do, I'd go with her shopping. And then in the afternoon, we'd go out to lunch. And we would take in a matinee if there was anything good playing. And Cocoon was one that looked good, not just to me, but my grandparents thought it would be good too. And turned out they did like it. Mostly because they liked, the people that were in it. They knew the people that were in it.
All the old people.
All the old people, yeah, exactly.
Yes. And there are aliens in this movie, right? And does Steve Guttenberg have a relationship with one of the aliens, not realizing she's an alien?
At first, he doesn't realize she's an alien, but once he finds out she's an alien, he doesn't mind so much.
Okay. And I think this was all like the aliens were going to take the old people away, but kind of give them a new life on another world, right?
Exactly.
At the end, and Brian Dennehy's in it, as I recall.
And this is another one of those. People wanting to take advantage of the technology and the benefits of these aliens, and Brian Dennehy, absolutely. The thing was, this was one of those, and we see it in modern urban legends today. This idea of the alien wearing a human skin, like he pulls down his eye and you see the
light coming under it or something. Yeah.
Exactly, and of course this same kind of concept with V, the lizard people with the, and then of course that becomes part of the.
So the aliens aren't malevolent in this; they're actually trying to.
No, they're absolutely not.
Yeah.
And it's another. It's kind of, there's a little bit of an E.T. element to it. Where trying to take this benefit from the aliens is actually hurting them and killing them, and you've got the protagonist trying to, let the aliens go, let them get out of here, and it does become a situation where, at the end, the older people are given an opportunity to go to the aliens' world, where they could continue to receive the benefits of this youth-giving energy. But when they say goodbye to their family, it's literally the same kind of goodbye as your grandparents are dying, because you're never going to see them again. And they're going to a wonderful place where they'll be young forever.
So it's like heaven, basically.
It's basically like going to heaven.
And the aliens are angels.
That's exactly it. Real quick, I want to say hi to Adega Outlaw, who's joining us right now. Thank you so much for being here. This was a film that was a great character study. Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. So true. This is one of those ones that I feel like from 1985 was an absolute lost classic.
Yeah.
But you know what, Boomer? I think before we move on, I need to go to a commercial break. I need to refill my glass.
Do it.
And I need to, unfill myself. So I will be right back in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay.
You are watching Last Call, streaming every Friday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Come on in, pull up a chair, and have a drink with us.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, Netters Network presents the 1990 Godfather parody, The Freshman. Netters Network Retro Cinema. Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Papa Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it somewhere else, but Boomer and Pacelli put a spin on it you likely won't hear anywhere else. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
This week on Live from Sparkwood and 21, we'll be taking a deep dive into the dark depths of the unfathomable David Lynch film Mulholland Drive. Join us this Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes and Affiliates.
An uprising hits Earth, and Servalan finds herself a prisoner in her new presidential palace. Meanwhile, Avon's hot on the scent of Bartholomew, the Federation agent who murdered his beloved Anna Grant. It's rumors of death. This Tuesday on Last Call presents Blake 7 at 10 p.m. Central, 11 Eastern.
Oh, and ussarn says during the live stream my gifted membership expired. That means that it was on a Friday that you were probably gifted that membership. I hope perhaps I have earned your continued membership if you want to re-up. Otherwise, we will absolutely miss you, especially on Mondays, where I am guessing this week one of these movies is going to be the movie we will be watching on Monday.
You're thinking an 85 classic.
Yeah, I think as soon as this stream ends, I'm going to get a quick poll up for my members to Deleted Seas says, oh, and who is that? That's right, because Deleted dropped a whole bunch of gifted memberships about a month ago. But I think I'm going to get 3 of the movies from this selection up in a poll for my members to choose what we're going to be watching on Monday. I think that's what I'm going to do.
So moving on to Return to Oz.
Yeah, this one is absolutely one that I have very, very mixed feelings about. And one thing I don't have mixed feelings about is I feel that they marketed this terribly. They couldn't decide what aspect of it they wanted to push. This is marketing. Absolutely, you've got to make a choice. If you try to skirt a line, and you're going to upset everybody. They could not decide if they wanted to imply that this was a sequel to the original Wizard of Oz, or if this was a return to the original source material, if this was meant to be something in that spirit of the original, or if it was supposed to be something else.
post Connie's comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oops. I was going to do it too. Yeah.
Okay. I do not like this one. I think that was the perception of a lot of children and families at the time.
That I really feel comes out of the bad marketing of this. There were two elements to it. One was, if you chose to see it, like if you went to see it in the movies, you were not getting what you were expecting to see.
You want to see even the Wizard of Oz.
Exactly, and even if it was, even if it was a good movie that you would have otherwise liked, if it's not what... Look, Netter and I go through this all the time. You go to take a drink, right? And you think it's water, but it's milk. Or you think it's soda, but it's lemonade, right? What? You're jarred by that, right? Doesn't mean that what you're drinking is bad. It's something you would ordinarily love, but it wasn't what you were expecting. It wasn't what you were ready for. It wasn't what you thought you were choosing. So you have a visceral reaction to it. And I do feel that this movie is very much that. I think this one plays a lot better if once you understand what it is, you go back and watch it, especially because there are some really wonderful practical effects in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
That are just absolutely friggin' brilliant. They were just cutting edge. They were just genius.
I didn't catch this until it came on the Disney Channel, because I didn't see this in the theater. I think it came to the Disney Channel, and they just would show this thing regularly on the Disney Channel because... they spent a lot of money on this. They got to show it somewhere, so they're going to show it on what was, I guess, the Disney Plus of its day. And yeah. I remembered young Baruch Assault, right? Correct? She was the lead in this. And I thought it was interesting how Dorothy is probably in this the age she actually is in the books, whereas
exactly.
I feel like they aged her up with the original movie musical, or at least that.
Yeah, with Judy Garland, she was a little bit old for the role, and that was so unfair to her too. There's even stories about them like really wrapping down her chest and whatnot. It's like, well, if that's the case, then maybe you should have cast Shirley Temple or something like that. The problem with this movie is that you can't make a sequel. You have to make make it in miniseries form. That's a great point, Story Man.
This is one of these 80s fantasy movies for children that would give kids nightmares. There are all kinds of these movies, like Neverending Story and Labyrinth and other things like that.
See, and you make those are two excellent analogies that were marketed correctly. You kind of knew what you were getting into with those movies. This was not marketed that way. Otherwise, I think it might have been as beloved as that. If you go back and watch this again as an adult, there is some really... and a couple cameos that would surprise you, too.
I find it interesting how Dorothy gets sent... does she get sent to a mental institution, and the guy running the place is testing out like electrotherapy devices on her that have that very like early age of electricity look to them, and he's like, oh look, this machine, it has eyes and a mouth and a nose, see, it's nice, and
ussarn G, I that's a hard question to answer because I am seeing for example, YouTube is telling me there's 17 watching on my channel. There might be some watching on Netters and Boomers. They might be watching on X. They might be watching on Rumble. So I'm never really certain how many are watching until afterwards, and I can see how many views it got.
All I remember is there was a witch in this that had an array of heads that she would detach from her head and put a new head on. I thought the Mechanical Man was interesting. It wasn't the Tin Man.
Wait a minute. Before you move on from that, the swappable heads.
Yeah, that was interesting.
You should see the behind the scenes for that. Much of that was practical effects and like a double exposure kind of situation. It was very brilliantly done. You should look into.
I was 11 when this came out, and I remember finally seeing it, and I thought it was fine. I mean, it wasn't The Wizard of Oz, but it was interesting at least. I think as a kid, and if I was the intended audience, I didn't find it offensive, but other people apparently did. But I also remembered the main villain of the movie was this. Was it the Gnome King or something? It was like this thing made out of rocks, which I thought was interesting. And then the only way you can defeat it is with an egg, and I guess her talking chicken, because I guess when she brings her chicken over to Oz, the chicken can talk to her, and she lays an egg into his mouth, and that's what destroys him. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but people seem to hate this movie, so it's okay. I mean, I don't know. Your mileage.
Yeah, and I gotta say, again, this one especially when you. Especially if you're someone who has read the Oz books, this is like, oh, okay, I see what they're going for with this. I do have to mention that the voice of TikTok in this, you might recognize as Tim Rose. Oh. If you don't know who Tim Rose is, it's a trap.
Oh. Akbar. Was Lucasfilm involved in this movie?
I want to say yes. I mean, the special effects were so good. I have to believe.
At least ILM must have had a hand, maybe. I don't know. Of
course, Veruca Balk as Dorothy.
Yeah.
She. Yeah. We'll talk about The Craft another night, I think. And Auntie M, here's your Twin Peaks angle. Auntie M played by Piper Laurie.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah. And of course, as you would expect, Deep Roy is in everything, and he was the Tin Man, of course.
Anyway, this was a huge box office bomb, and this did not help Disney out too much this summer, and they're going to have another bomb, which we'll discuss in a little bit. This was a bad year for Disney. Clint Eastwood, Pale Rider, I don't need to say anything else. I love this movie.
Yes.
I love this poster. I used to have
Actually, didn't Deleted Scenes do a watch party this recently?
He might have. I think it's a brilliant later Eastwood Western. Frankly, if you want an introduction to Eastwood Westerns, if you don't feel like going to his earlier stuff, start with this one. This one's good. This is a good starter Western if you want to learn what Eastwood was all about in the Old West. I do love this poster, and Hell came with them, and it looks like that old West parchment, and how the images are kind of coming out of it. I used to have a copy of this poster hanging in my room, but then the flood happened and I got rid of it. But it was not an original.
These were great. So this was back when almost all movie posters were hand
drawn. Yeah.
And so you'd have a canvas where you would do the background rust, staining, and then you just go over with a penciling to do the imagery you want, and then you go in, and it's almost like doing a comic book. You go in with black paints to finish it, and nowadays, sadly, this is now being done very, very easily, cheaply, and quickly by AI.
Not good. One of my favorite parts of this movie is when he shows up. He needs a place to stay, and the wife of like the gold miner, because they're gold miners. They're like, oh, you're gonna let the strange man stay with us, and then he comes out and he's wearing a collar, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you were a preacher. I'm sorry. Sit down, and they have him say grace and everything, and it's like he's a preacher, or isn't he? That's what you don't know in this movie.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating about like the evil guys, the evil like land baron, whoever in the town that wants to run the gold miners out and get the gold, he's let's go talk to the preacher. Hey, preacher, why don't you work for us? Well, we'll give you some money. Start a big. Oh, well, then I could get a nice big church, couldn't I? And then he's saying all these things that like they're corrupting him, like what it would do to me and what it would do to the congregation. So because they don't like him, because of course a preacher might give these people a fight to fight back, and they don't want him in town, because and it's a great Eastwood Western. Yeah, Eastwood movies are always good. Yeah, this is a good one.
I actually had forgotten. This was another one that I saw that summer with my grandparents, and this one was a request of my grandfather. He wanted to see this one, and It just hit me at the wrong time. I was a kid. And I enjoyed it fine, but it didn't really grab me at the time. This one has definitely upon future watchings,
aged
as
better
an older,
for you.
it absolutely has. Yeah.
I like his hat too. It's not a typical Western cowboy hat, but it fits the movie
exactly.
And there's this chilling scene where the one bad guy comes out and all his like deputies. I guess he's like an evil sheriff, and he comes out and he's like, "Why don't you dance for us? What do you mean?" He says, "Well, it's simple. You just move your feet to the rhythm," and they all start shooting at him at the ground, and it's like it's. And then finally he gets frustrated and pulls the gun on him, and they shoot him to death in front of his sons. It's this real chilling scene, and that's how you know this is the villain, the main villain of the movie. And Eastwood's character in this, I'm telling you, the preacher, I'm wondering if he's a ghost.
It's interesting because
it's almost insinuating he's a ghost, maybe. Like he's maybe he's someone this evil sheriff killed in another time.
And this, I'm glad you mentioned this because if you think about it, you think about the third film was it the third film? Yeah, the third film in the Back to the Future series.
Yes,
definitely references this movie. The whole dance and Clint Eastwood and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
clearly references to Pale Rider.
Yeah, everyone was a big fan. I think people were finally giving Eastwood his due as a Western icon by the time we got to the 80s. Yeah. Moving on to St. Elmo's Fire.
I love this movie. I love this soundtrack. Oh my gosh.
Rob Lowe says, "I'm not. Are you a believer in premarital sax?" Because he plays the saxophone. Remember that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Is this where the term Brat Pack came from? Did it start with this movie? Or
I want to say yes. I do. I think so. I do.
Go ahead. Yeah, a lot of actors in this. Was Ali Sheedy in this also? Or am I thinking of a different movie?
Yes, she was. You will remember, of course, that the love theme and the main theme, Man in Motion, both big hits from this movie. The love theme from St. Elmo's Fire was, of course, written and performed by David Foster. The Man in Motion was written by John Parr and David Foster, and of course performed by John Parr. These were huge hits on the radio at the time. I realize as I look through the list, most of the songs I know really well because I had the soundtrack and listened to them over and over and over again. But most people wouldn't know them because they weren't released songs that were big on the radio. Like Save My Life, This Time It Was Really Right, Shakedown. That was a Billy Squier song. I mean, these Respect by Otis Redding. Yeah.
Big. I don't want to say it was a teen movie because they were early 20s in this, right? This was like them just graduating college, I think, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah, exactly. It was this whole thing about really childhood is over and now we got to be adults kind of thing. But this was a huge vehicle for Demi Moore, Andrew McCarthy, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, Ali Sheedy, Judd Nelson, Mayor Winningham. You remember Mayor Winningham?
Yes.
Yeah.
Half these people were also in the Breakfast Club. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's true. That's why they were starting to be referred to as the Brat Pack. These kids that are in all these movies together. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I love this movie.
Yeah. So moving on to.
In a way, I felt like St. Elmo's Fire was like this spiritual precursor to The Big Chill.
Oh, that makes sense. Actually,
it was like the younger version of people that would. Then...
Now you have the yuppie boomers and Big Chill.
Exactly. Right.
Good double feature there, maybe.
Right.
Back to
Back
the
to the
Future.
Future. See,
I did see this in the theater. This was a big deal. Robert Zemeckis. Was this? I'm trying to think. Was this the biggest movie of the summer? There are a lot of big ones this summer, but I remember it because it wasn't quite what I expected as a kid. Because I was almost expecting more fantastic stuff in it because it's basically about a guy from '85 and he time travels with his time machine back to 1955 and all the little quirks there. I would argue these movies become more fantastic in the sequels, and that's sort of where they lean into that more. But there's still interesting stuff, like he could vanish from history if his parents don't get together, you know. And
this was also more character driven and story driven. It was predicated on the premise. What if I were to go back in time and meet my parents, you know, when they were my age? You know, would I be friends with them? Would I get along with them? That was the original concept, and that really bears out in this one. It's very, very interesting. It's way more about the characters' relationships and interactions, and the impact that has on both of them. You know, but because there's that time travel element, it's also how does it end up changing history? This is a huge nostalgia thing for people from the 50s. And I've told this story before, talking about Back to the Future. Saw this one with my mom in the theater, and I got a lot of her doing a lot of reminiscing about and telling me stories about when she was a teenager.
Because it was true to the period, the 50s.
Yes, it absolutely was.
I don't know. It's funny because he's like, I want a Pepsi free, and he's like, if you want a Pepsi, you're going to pay for it. Remember that?
Which is a joke that is unfortunately very much of its time.
Because there was something called Pepsi free. Was that a version
Pepsi
of
free?
Pepsi?
It was. Yes, it was a sugar-free Pepsi, but it wasn't
80s.
Diet Pepsi. And I think it was when they were starting to introduce different artificial sweeteners. And it was a slightly different formulation. I do remember drinking it, and I do remember liking the taste of it. But, it doesn't exist now. So you have a whole generation of people that won't get that joke because they have no idea what Pepsi Free is, you know?
So we do have some great performances in this. I know.
We also have some great people that have just recently joined us.
Oh,
For example, Keely Chow, that I want to say hi to. Welcome. Hello. And FKHC 2005, whom we lovingly refer to as
Tim.
Tim? Welcome. The 50s. Which one? Which one of the 50s? Yeah. I don't remember what year this one takes place in, to be honest with you.
55.
Oh, that was the other aspect of it. Pepsi Free was caffeine free as well. So it was both caffeine and that's the other interesting thing about about colas. Most people don't realize this, since they no longer make cola with a cola extract. There is no naturally occurring caffeine in it. So caffeine is actually an additive in all of your colas. So to make it caffeine free, they just don't put caffeine into it. And that's why they went through that period of caffeine-free sodas. And it was kind of in tension with people not wanting caffeine and getting away from caffeine, and people wanting more caffeine, so Jolt Cola and stuff like that. But
I remember Jolt Cola.
But Mark's point is also incredibly important to the joke, because he says he wants Pepsi free. He wanted a tab, but he can't have a tab unless he orders something. He goes, just give me something with no sugar in it. Did he say no sugar and no caffeine? Or maybe it was just no sugar. Yeah, it was sugar. But and so he gives him some soup, because there's no sugar in the soup, right?
So Leah Thompson's in this as Marty McFly's mom, both in the present and in the
yeah,
past.
and let's face it, if Leah Thompson was your mom, you'd have some Freudian problems too.
Anyway,
you're covering everything that I missed while trapped guarding chemical weapons on Johnson Island. Thank God my dad recorded Live Aid for me and sent it out to us. 85 was a blur. interesting that you say that. I did mention Live Aid in my monologue. So which of the two venues did you get to see? Did you get to see this side of the pond or that side of the pond? I'd like to know that. And welcome to the show, Joe's Atmosphere.
I mean, you have Thomas Wilson as one of the great movie villains, Biff Tannen.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, just in the 80s, one of the best 80s villains, and 80s had great villains.
He was brilliant. He absolutely
Crispin
was.
Glover plays George McFly. Do you remember the scene in the movie where he hooks his Walkman up to his ears and says, "My name is Darth Vader. I'm an extraterrestrial
from the planet Vulcan."
And then he says, "If I don't ask her out, he's going to melt my brain." Remember when he said that to Marty?
And he's like, maybe we don't tell anybody about the brain melting part, right?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, we have the great Christopher Lloyd as Dr. Emmett Brown, who is a genuine mad scientist in the classic sense,
absolutely,
with the puffy white hair and everything in the lab coat. I love this movie. In fact, I think the series is probably the best thing I've ever seen about
this. Is probably the most analyzed film. There's a lot of great content that people have done out there on YouTube about this movie. One of the things that people try to pick apart is why is this old scientist and this teenage boy friends, but the whole time aspect of it just makes it very clear. It's a predestination paradox, you know. That's what it is. There's nothing.
It's because Doc's got cool stuff, and Marty's interested in the cool stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Marty's not a snob. Other people in the town might look at him as a weirdo, but Marty, he's the one whose dad's still getting bullied by Biff, and you know I think they're one of his siblings or his uncle is in jail, I think, and all this thing. Yeah. So he's not going to be judging Doc Brown like the rest
that
of the
is actually
does.
A great point that I kind of overlooked, and it goes back to that quote that I mentioned about treat famous people like they're normal people and treat normal people like they're famous. He treated Doc just like he was anyone else. He didn't go in with any preconceived notions, and I feel like that's a story element that you get by implication, but you actually have to think about it to realize that.
Yeah, but great classic 80s movie. I'm sure y'all have seen it. If you haven't, watch it. And the sequels are great too. In fact, it's my opinion, one of the few trilogies that is actually good start to finish. But you can actually watch this movie by itself or get this. Back to the Future predicted a certain day in September. That's interesting. No, I remember seeing this on the big screen, and when the sequels came out, that was a big deal too, but that'll be a topic for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep moving. We got a lot to get through still. I have not seen this movie. What the heck is it called?
The Emerald Forest. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think some kid gets kidnapped by a tribe in another country and someone has to go rescue him because he's to coin an un-PC phrase now, he's gone native or something, so he has
exactly.
to
That's exactly what this movie was. I don't remember if I even saw this or not.
Okay.
To be honest,
I remember there was a scene where he's feeding Doritos to ants. That's about all I remember. Okay, moving on. I probably shouldn't have put this in here, but I'm trying to cover everything. What is this?
Sonja.
Oh, Red Sonja.
No, you didn't like this movie?
Dude. She is dead. There's nothing you can do for her.
So I don't know too much about the lore. My understanding was that this was intended to be a Conan spin-off, but they didn't have the rights to Conan.
Yeah, they didn't have the... Okay, here's the deal. I think Red Sonja is a character created by Robert E. Howard. I think she does show up in a couple of Conan stories, and then from there, Marvel Comics made her own spin-off series, and it's probably one of these things where... You know, you get the rights to Iron Man, but not the Spider-Man sort of thing. You know, so they probably got the rights to do Red Sonja. I heard, and this was from Joe Bob Briggs's Monster Vision when it was on TNT. He said that what happened was Arnold showed up on set one day just to see what was going on, and they cast him there, even though he wasn't really even supposed to be in this movie.
Oh wow!
I don't know if that's true because I watched this as a kid. I'm like, well, that's Conan because he's wearing the barbarian garb. It's at one of these Conan-esque worlds, probably Hyboria, where you have an evil
I suspect that that's the excuse they used, but I'll bet that it had to be more. We can't use Conan, we can have a different character and have him played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So we basically have Conan.
It's like the ballerina movie that came out this summer where John Wick shows up in it, but he's not the main character, except they didn't have just Keanu Reeves show up in a different movie playing a different assassin. Maybe. I guess that'd be the equivalent. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I remember the one scene in it where the large guy says, "Brytac, let me through. I need payment." "How much?" "Oh, it's the tender kind that all women must pay to Brytac." Remember? And then you had the little kid that was stuck up, and he's like, he's spoiled. Remember that? And
yep.
I don't know. I remember there was one scene where there was this wizard doing. Actually, this was a violent picture, though, as I recall.
Oh yeah.
There's this scene where some sorcerer is like cutting Red Sonja by gliding his knife over some stone or something across, and she goes over and cleaves his head off. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's okay. I'm probably being too harsh on it. What did the chat think of it?
Well, right. This is what I was saying, Mark. They couldn't call him Conan. He wasn't literally Conan. He was effectively Conan. Yeah. Is what I was getting at. Yeah.
And Bridget Nielsen, right? Yep. As Red Sonja. Red Sonja is a character.
This was another one that.
Oh wait.
You're gonna hear this as a recurring thing. To market this film, Brigitte Nielsen did a spread in Playboy. It was very, very common in the 80s.
Red Sonja is a character from Conan, and this movie was supposed to be a sequel to Conan, but they didn't have the rights, so they had to rewrite the story and make his character someone different. No, exactly. It's bad, Cecily.
Yeah, yeah.
It might be one of these bad movies people still like. I think, too... Let's be honest with you. You're into D&D in the 80s. You like reading fantasy books.
Yes.
You're gonna gravitate to anything that's passable fantasy.
This was really big among that kind of a crowd, and this was definitely an inspiration for that whole high fantasy kind of thing. I do feel like, and I know this is going to cause you to bristle, but I think these days using computer techniques, shall we say, I think someone could use this as a source to turn it into the Conan sequel it was probably meant to be.
Well, maybe we'll get that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Red Sonja. Do I have to? In fact, this entire movie was being rewritten as they were filming. Of course, it was.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, it was.
Yeah.
What other movie was being rewritten as they were filming it? No Time to Die, the last Bond movie we got. That's always a good sign. Moving on to, here we go.
Another sequel, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Yes, great.
Look at that poster.
Yep, and of course, you got Tina Turner with the big release from this movie.
We don't need another hero.
We don't need another hero.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. Look at her hair, the white hair just blending into the background.
That is pretty brilliant. See, and again, you only get this because an artist did it. That is a painting. That is not a photograph of those individuals.
What I found fascinating about this, she kind of plays a nuanced villain. Because at the end, when she's lost and Mad Max is beaten and she could just kill him right there, she just says, "I'll see you around, Raggedy Man," because she's not going to benefit from killing him at that point. So it's like she's not cold-blooded like that.
It's that whole idea of just because she's a villain doesn't mean she's got to be evil just for evil's sake.
Yes. So good movie. No, I mean I like all the Mad Maxes, and this was a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nothing bad to say about this. I remember they were finally figuring out how to make new energy.
Yeah.
out of pig crap. Anyway, basically, right.
And that's actually true. You actually can do that.
Remember Master Blaster? Wasn't he in this? 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, Thunderbomb. Right. And I think Master Blaster was a dwarf on top of a giant guy who I guess had a simple brain, so they were sort of codependent on each other. The little guy was the brain, and the big guy was like the muscle, basically, right? Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah, no, good movie, worth checking out. Kind of, basically, it's like the Barbarian style movie, but in reverse. It's like after a future apocalypse, rather than
exactly. Yeah, this definitely fills that very same niche, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. Mel Gibson was in that. Yeah. Moving on to Silverado. I need to rewatch this. This was another Western of the year, which I think is actually rather good. I think Kevin Kline is in this. Who else is in this? I think Danny Glover. Is Chef Goldblum also in this? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Oh, I actually don't remember. Let me see.
It's a good Western from what I recall. I need to just rewatch it. I might rewatch it this summer sometime on a weekend.
So Silverado, we got let's see, Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Danny Glover, Kevin Costner.
Oh, Costner. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. All right.
Yeah. John
Costner
Cleese
was always
in
in
this
Westerns.
movie.
What?
John Cleese was in this movie.
Oh, that's right. He was interesting in this movie too. This
and
was a good
Roseanne
one.
Arquette.
Roseanne Arquette. I think she was the damsel in distress. I would assume, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah, no, worth checking out. I think a little less serious than Pale Rider, but still fun. This was back when the westerns were all the cowboys were wearing those trench coats. That was the big thing at the time. But
Yep.
But it's Kevin Costner's first big film. Yeah, Costner, of course, is known for either his baseball movies or his westerns. Those were the two big things he's done over the years. In fact, I would argue that Yellowstone is probably another. It's a modern western if you think about it. What is that? That's Explorers. Remember Explorers?
I actually don't. Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix.
Let me remind you what it was about. You had to have seen this. It's about the one kid. He's named Wolfgang. He's very smart. His mother's weird. I think she's German, and like he's basically inventing a type of spaceship where they can build a spaceship and put a transportable sphere around it to levitate it off the ground into space, and then they run into aliens. Don't you remember that? You did not see this movie?
I did not see.
Well, you know what? There are movies I missed on this list too. You might like it. I remember not liking it as much but it's another one of these kids on bikes movies, and they're going on an adventure. It felt a little more mature than Goonies, felt a little more mature than Goonies. They do run into some aliens, and I think they run into alien teenagers, so it's kind of funny. So they're running into their counterparts, but they're aliens, and it's like
that's interesting.
And like you realize the alien teenagers aren't so different from the human teenagers in some respects. So
that is interesting. I might have to look into it.
Yeah, it's called Explorers. Okay, you can check it out. Not sure, but jumped over here. Okay. Always wanted a trench coat because of those Western films and the Untouchables. Yes, trench coats were big. The Coca-Cola Kid. I've not seen this. My sister is a fan of this movie, though. Have you seen this?
I did, but I don't remember.
I believe it's a salesman trying to introduce Coca-Cola to, was it Australia or some, place that never had it before, I think.
I just remember that I thought that the female lead, the Italian girl, was really cute.
Okay. All right, moving on. Let's keep moving on. We've got a lot of movies covered. Day of the Dead, boom. George Romero's Day of the Dead. I do love this one a lot. Do you like it?
Of course I do. This is a classic. Because of rights-related things, this is one that has been remade in many branching ways.
Oh, no.
I think we did a whole stream talking about the many branching ways
of Living Dead movies. Yeah, well, they did some really terrible branching one of this that was on Netflix. I think it was called Day of the Dead Bloodline, and it was horrible. And
I have all of the versions of this and its sequels because I'm a completist and a little bit of a masochist, and I do recall that the remake of this was actually one that was really good, but this was a classic.
Bud stole the show. Yes, Bud is our tamed, or as tamed as a zombie can be, zombie. Who, I forget the actor who played him. He's the one that played Lex Luthor on Superboy, though. He played Bub the Zombie in this.
That's right.
Find out that actor's name. I think he's been on Star Trek too. He's a good actor. But this movie is basically, this is I think a few months after the outbreak happens, because I think Dawn is a few weeks, and then this is a few months after the outbreak has happened. And basically, civilization has collapsed. You have these army people living underground in an abandoned mine somewhere in Florida. Hope it's not below sea level. Just a joke. But maybe they're more inland. But it's kind of funny because they about going to Fort Myers, which isn't so far from me.
Sherman Howard, that was his name.
Okay, yeah, and they go to Fort Myers, and that's a city that actually got really messed up in Hurricane Ian. But they go there, and they're just calling out on this microphone, "Hello, is anyone there?" And then suddenly all the zombies start slowly crawling from the town. And then you hear this horrible, and the pilot, who's this Jamaican guy, is like, "Listen, it's a dead place. No one's here." And it's like, what are they going to do? But the scientists are busy. One scientist is trying to figure out a way to reverse the zombification or figure out a way to kill them better. And the other scientist, who's known as Frankenstein, he's trying to figure out, can we tame them? Can we train them?
Yeah.
And he actually managed to teach a zombie not to just go for you and start eating you, and actually how to, pick up a tape recorder and press play. And pick up a phone and say hello to your Aunt Alicia.
And it did lead, and as the films progress, you start to see this evolution of the zombies, almost like they're becoming a new species now.
Getting a little smarter, yeah,
exactly. And this is also where that whole trope begins, where you end up with movies like, for example, Fido. And what was that one? Warm Bodies, I think it was called.
Yeah,
was another one. This idea of zombies somehow, evolving, so to speak.
Oh, have some babies and teach them never to come down and dig these records up. Yeah, he's telling him human race has to start over, finance where just forget about trying to preserve what we've had. Just start over. Yeah, a lot of good philosophical stuff in there, and no, well worth checking out. I feel this kind of ends the original Living Dead trilogy that Romero had started, and as you said, there. Bunch of spin-offs. We're going to get to one of them tonight. Movie did not do great at the box office because unfortunately this wouldn't get a rating because Romero likes to do things his way. You're going to see some of the greatest horror zombie effects ever in a movie. Tom Savini was full on with his game, and his apprentices, Greg Nicotero, who you may know from doing these zombie effects for the Walking Dead television series. He's even as one of the soldiers in this too, and he helped with the effects too. So this was you want some gory, grody zombie effects in this, you got them. This was when everyone was at the top of their game. Unfortunately, it didn't do great at the box office, but a lot of us caught it on video. So yeah. Wait, what about Land of the Dead? Well, I remember Land of the Dead, and that was I guess the fourth one. But you're right. I guess it's no longer a trilogy, but at the time it was a trilogy. I saw it like I saw Star Wars. All right, moving on to...
I'm looking forward to the next film, Brunch of the Dead.
Funny, man. The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yes.
This had a big hit song. What is it? What is the song from Billie Jean? I'll look it up. But Helen Slater. I love this movie. This is another great teen movie. And what I liked about this movie was that she kind of gets wrongly accused of a crime, right?
Oh, Invincible by Pat Benatar.
Yeah, I love Invincible. I mean, every time I hear that song, I think of this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, Delising said, didn't appreciate the anti-military slap, but the zombie evolution stuff did carry over. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not to hang out with Day of the Dead more. Hold on, let me get back here real quick. I think the reason the soldiers were acting so nutty in this, though, and I'll say this from someone who sometimes when we put the hurricane shutters up in the house and leave them up for weeks on end during hurricane season, being underground, being without sunlight messes with your mind as a human being. You need the sun. You can't live, we're not meant to live underground. So I think that was part of it, though. But anyway, going back to Legend of Billie Jean, what I thought was interesting was she's on the run, right? And she becomes an outlaw. But then from her doing little things and helping teens on the side of the road, she ends up becoming like this outlaw hero to all the teens across the United States, right?
Exactly.
And, I don't know. And I'm a Helen Slater fan, so I really like
I absolutely am too. And this is one that is, again, I think... a lost treasure, definitely worth your time to check out. If you are one of those people that likes your superhero stories really grounded and very realistic, well, that's basically what this is. This is as close as you get to a vigilante superhero in the real world.
Yes, and it's a good time, good teen film. In fact, the voice of Lisa Simpson is in this as well, the actress who.
Right,
the actor,
Yeardley Smith. Yeah, Dean Stockwell is also in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. The Man with One Red Shoe. Any thoughts? I've not seen it. Tom Hanks.
I am very, very much trying to forget a lot of Tom Hanks's films, to be honest with you.
Well,
I saw it. I don't remember it that well.
I remember people at the time didn't like it. That's why I never saw it. This was apparently kind of a bomb. Okay, let's move on. Still a big fan of The Burbs, though. The Black Cauldron. Here we go. The other big Disney bust that summer.
Which is very unfortunate. This one is very unfair. This one was actually a great film.
Filmed on 70 millimeter. This thing had tons of people attached working on it. I think at some point Don Bluth and Tim Burton worked on this film at some point before moving on to other things. This thing was the term production hell. That's what this movie was. This was the only animated movie they made which got censored after the fact. Michael Eisner cut a scene out with the Hornmen. One of the Hornmen's resuscitated corpse soldiers actually killing one of the human soldiers under his ranks. That scene got cut out of this.
Yeah, I think it's been restored in some versions I've seen.
It's not on the DVD I have. Disney still doesn't love this movie. They finally gave it a halfway decent DVD release. I think it has a Blu-ray release, but you have to get it through weird means, like through one of their Disney clubs or something. Yeah. I saw this in the movie theater. I remember liking it, but man, the media trashed this movie. They skewered it.
Which is incredibly unfair because, yes, this was not your typical Disney fare. But look.
PG movie, PG rated.
It was PG. It wasn't G. So it was what it was. Again, that's PG of 1985. Also, when you've got this coming out with the same summer as Mad Max and Red Sonja, this very much fills that same high fantasy niche, but for children. Okay? Yes, it's dark. Yes, it's violent. That's not necessarily a deal killer.
Based on the Chronicles of Prydain book series by Lloyd Alexander, which I believe
remember reading the books,
which was based on Welsh mythology, as I recall. I read the first 3 of the books. Actually, I need to finish the series one of these days. But I enjoyed the movie. John Hurt plays the Horn King, terrifying villain in this. Like when he has a great introduction scene. He shows up, you just know evil is in the room as soon as he shows up. Right? And he wants the Black Cauldron to basically create a bunch of Cauldron-born, which basically resuscitated corpses to basically he can control and rule the world with. Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't watch it till I was grown. The book is way better, but still the film wasn't bad. People kept thinking that Disney might try redoing the books as live-action movies, kind of how they were doing the Narnia movies at the time, but that never came to pass. Because, like, I'm talking about like the early 2000s when they were starting to, they wanted their own Lord of the Rings, so they were doing the Narnia movies, and I thought, why not just do the Prydain Chronicles? You could do those too. But I based the D&D came very loosely off the Prydain Chronicles. The voice of Gurgi was actually the voice of Donald Duck. Did you know that? The guy who voiced Donald Duck. Yeah.
There you go.
Forgot the actor's name though. But moving on to Heavenly Kid, I don't know what this is. Do you?
No, actually.
Moving on.
No, wait a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I recognize the poster. Let me see who was in it.
I get what you're saying, Malnikov, about Disney needing to leave things in the past, full stop. But my point was this would have been a way for them to properly adapt those books in a new format. And this was back before they went nuts. I'm talking about like in the aughts when they were doing things like John Carter, Mars, or when they were experimenting before they started buying up everything.
Okay, so in order to earn his wings and get to heaven, a hip guardian angel is handed the task of watching over a lonely high school boy who needs guidance on how to fit in. I do remember this one. This one actually was pretty good. This was one of the early adopters of the PG-13 rating.
Oh.
I did see this one with my mom. There's a bit of a twist in this one. I don't want to give this one away. This one is probably worth checking out. It's definitely in that whole angel earning its wings kind of, the whole
yes.
It's a Wonderful Life kind of a thing. A little bit of the whole down to earth, Xanadu kind of thing, without the musical element.
Is this kind of like from the 50s? The angel, he looks like from the 50s or something.
He dies. If I remember this correctly, he died in a car accident back in the 50s.
I see.
Now he's in the modern day trying to help out a kid and to
earn his wings. So it's like It's a Wonderful Life, basically.
Let's put it this way. I'm going to spoil it without spoiling it. He's from the 50s. He's helping out a kid in the modern day who doesn't have a father.
Oh, he gets to be returned into a human and become his stepfather. Okay.
No. You're overthinking it too much.
I don't
Guys,
know. I don't.
If you get an opportunity to see The Heavenly Kid, it's worth checking out.
Okay.
Believe me.
I'll
This is one of those ones that is worth checking out because, it wasn't great. It doesn't jump out in my memory, but I remember it. There's a fondness there. It's a good story.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm not that hard to please if a movie's strong.
No, then you definitely love this. Yeah.
If Troy Disney does, well, they wouldn't do it now, because they're modern Disney.
Yeah. No, actually, I tell you, no. I think Disney is having less and less problem putting heavy stuff into their, Yeah, they'll do it. They'll do it these days.
I wouldn't call this a summer blockbuster, but it made it on the list. Kiss of the
Sonia
Spider
Braga.
Woman.
That's all you need to know.
Okay. All I remember about Kiss of the Spider Woman when this was out, I was looking in Mad Magazine, and there was some goof poster in the background in one of the comic strips, and it was Kiss of the Spider-Man, and it has like Peter Parker lifting up the Spider-Man mask and like kissing a giant submarine sandwich. That's what it looked like. And, I wish if I could have found a picture of that, I would have put it in the presentation because it was hilarious. Because I'm watching this, I'm thinking, well, what's Spider-Man kissing? And of course, it's a sandwich. It's a big sandwich. It's like he's going to eat the sandwich, but he's kissing it first.
Yeah.
So this was a good movie. Or Raul Julia, I do like him, but I don't.
Right.
Okay. I don't remember this movie. Well, yeah, it's again, that was an older person movie. National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Yep.
Pig in a Poke. Remember when that starts out? I remember this was one people thought it's not as good as Regular Vacation.
No,
that was
you're
what people kept
absolutely
saying.
right. This is I remember the whole bit where he gets stuck in the turnabout. Hey, look, kids, Big Ben in Parliament.
Funny, doesn't he hit Stonehenge and knock Stonehenge down?
Something like that. Yeah.
I there's a scene where they go to England and they're trying to talk English with the local, and of course they're talking British English, and you can't understand a word they're saying.
Right.
And then they go to France, where of course they're rude, and they go to a fancy French restaurant where they're microwaving these frozen meals for everybody. It's just, which I hope that's not the case. I mean, you think of France, it's supposed to be like one of the big culinary giants of the world.
Right.
And then they go to Germany, where he does the slap dance. The lederhosen slap dance, but then he actually starts slapping back, and it's like it turns into this fight. Because you don't actually, I don't think you actually slap, right? You just make like.
I
you're
actually
slapping.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen that dancing before. Anyway, but they must go to Italy at some point, right?
Again, details are fuzzy.
Your
I did
memories
see
are-
this one
you
in
could-
the. I did see this
I
one
caught
in
it
the
on
theater.
cable.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I just. Yeah.
The French waiter steals the show. Yes, this movie was funny. Yeah, I know people like it. I like Christmas Vacation. That's my favorite of the vacation movies, though. But that might be the standard answer.
I mean, I think the reason that this that this movie doesn't stand out in my memory as clearly as it might, and why I think I agree with people saying the first movie was the best. You don't get a nude scene from Beverly D'Angelo, so what's the point of it?
You get a new scene. You get a topless scene from the German pretzel dealer lady, the girl though.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's true.
Jessica Hardo says, "Troy, if I ever go to France, I'm going to go to Burger King." It's funny you mentioned that because I think of Pulp Fiction and like we're having this conversation about Samuel Jackson's
McDonald's
asking
and
John
the Royale.
Yeah, Royale with cheese. And he says, "What do they call a Whopper?" And he says, "I don't know. I didn't go to Burger King." He says, "Okay, I actually remember this one." Okay, so moving on to Fright Night. We, of course, have to have a vampire
This one
movie.
is a classic. Forget about the remake. It's just not worth it. Absolutely. You gotta see the original. This is a great.
I tried with the
classic
remake.
80s
I tried giving it the benefit of the doubt. I heard that they replaced the practical effects with CG post-op in the remake, which no. Watch the original. Roddy McDowall as the fearless vampire hunter, because he was obviously in these Hammer-style horror movies from the 50s and 60s, and then he's hosting a horror night. So, of course, when this teenager suspects that his neighbor is a vampire, he decides, I'm going to go check out this horror host because he was in all these vampire pictures. He'll know how to stop. And he's like, I played a vampire. I'm not a vampire. Yeah. I played a vampire hunter. I'm not a vampire. Great modern take on it. Actually follows a lot of the vampire rules about like being invited in.
Yes, exactly.
Crosses, but I think you have to have faith for the cross to work. Was that one of the things in this?
That was exactly right,
you show
because
cross, but you need
there
faith
is that scene where Roddy McDowall pulls
Yeah.
the cross on him, and he just takes his hand and goes, "You've got to have faith for this to work."
Yes.
And then Charlie comes up with it. And he's like, Chris Sarandon as the vampire, Jerry Dandridge. Oh, he was good. He was.
Chris Sarandon is a very underrated actor, and he's great as the villain, because he does both the scary vampire, but also kind of the leading man vampire.
Very romantic,
the one that women would fall
absolutely.
for and stuff.
I think one of the weak elements of this, of course, is Charlie's love interest, played by Amanda Bierce.
I thought it was Marky Post. No, Amanda Bierce. No, Marky Post was from Night Court. Amanda Bierce was from Married with Children. That's right. Yeah, she's not. I think I like his love interest in the sequel more.
Absolutely.
Where he's in college. I don't know if Fright Night 2 ever got re-released on DVD or Blu-ray. Apparently, it was.
I actually kind of wish that Heidi Sorensen, who played a smaller role in the film, I kind of wish she had been the
love
lead,
interest,
because she was she would have been a much better.
I don't know what to tell you kids. Vampires were big in the 80s. We got vampire films all the time, and despite the fact
that
it
tended to be,
they were classic vampires though.
I was going to say at the risk of a bad pun, vampires had teeth back then. Yeah. They were gritty. Like this is a great example where you have Sarandon being very romantic, good-looking guy, right? Yeah. But he was a monster.
Yeah.
And then he's got the scene at the end where he goes full, monster vampire,
In the sequel, you get his hot vampire sister, I believe, right?
Yes. Yes. It was a weak story progression.
Wasn't as good in the sequel, but it's good enough. Yeah.
Again, for those of you like role-playing type, Vampire the Masquerade type, it is a great idea for an ongoing campaign as a vampire hunter.
No sparkle vampires.
No sparkle boy vampires. Yeah.
All right, moving on though. Fright Night, classic horror movie, great to watch around Halloween too. Yes. I highly recommend it. This is the Big Bird movie. Follow that bird. And you know what? I remember I think at this point I was 11. I think I called and came like, I'm too old for this, and then I watched it. This is actually a really good movie.
It really was. It really was, and obviously had to see this one in my house because my brother and Sesame Street and everything. So absolutely.
Good cast in this too, as I recall. There were some good celebrity actors in this, as I remember. Yeah, you probably see them better if I look it up.
It definitely had that Muppets type,
like the Muppet movie. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny too because there's that scene in the Muppet movie where they run into Big Bird on the road, and he says, "Are you going to Hollywood?" And he says, "No, I'm going to New York to start a career in public television." Remember he said that? So
exactly.
But yeah, it was a Chevy Chase was in this. That's right.
Yeah.
This was a big summer for Chevy Chase. This is the third movie so far we've had with him.
It was also, again, because it was a Muppet movie without, the mainline Muppet movie. Well, mainline Muppets, except, of course, Kermit. But it was nice that Carol Spinney actually got to have a lead role in a feature film.
Yeah.
That was,
worth checking out. I think even worth checking out now. Yeah.
I'm going to have to... Yeah, it's on Plex, so you definitely could check it out.
Well, there you go. Weird Science. Boom. Boom.
Love this one. Love this one.
Everyone has a favorite John Hughes movie. This is mine. It's brilliant.
Asking me for my favorite John Hughes.
I know it's hard because there's so many.
What is your favorite? Which one of your children is your favorite? I can't do that. But yeah,
Kelly LeBrock. Okay, what you want to know what the plot of this? Okay, so this was back in the '80s where people thought computers were magic devices that could do whatever you wanted them to.
Exactly.
Because people didn't exactly. Because back then, your average American didn't quite understand computers yet. So these two teens who were tired of being the nerds in the school and not getting the girls and whatnot, they decide, hey, let's use a computer to make the perfect woman like Dr. Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. We're going to make our own girl. And they bring out Kelly LeBrock, and she almost has like genie style abilities, like she can make things happen.
She really is like the Deus Ex Machina, right? Almost literally the goddess out of the machine.
And she's there to kind of bring these two teens out of their shell and make them cool, and you actually teach them things about being brave.
She really does kind of succeed, but I mean, and. Not a huge role for him, but Bill Paxton plays the older brother Chet.
That's right.
And he steals every scene that he is in. It was absolutely brilliant. What's wrong with you? That's a serious mental disorder. Next thing you know, you're going to be wearing a bra on your head. A joke,
and of course, because they were
wearing a bra was part of the ritual.
Part of the ritual to bring the woman into the world. And then
Robert Downey Jr. has a small role in this as Ian. Yeah.
He's one of the tormentors that they keep bullying. I mean, they're not like physically beating them up, but they do things like pull their pants down in front of all the girls' gym class and stuff like that.
Anything to humiliate them.
And I forget the actor who was partnered with Robert Downey Jr. He had a similar look to him too, and it was like.
The two leads? Yeah, so Gary and Wyatt, played by...
I was talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s friend, but yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The two leads were played by actors with, how you commonly have the three named person. So you had Anthony Michael Hall and you had Ian Mitchell Smith.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful... Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I know where you're going. Go ahead. You should say it.
Well, I was going to say there's a wonderful scene in this where they throw their party, and then Kelly they're kind of hiding out in their room. I think they're hiding out with the bedroom with the two teen girls that they were actually interested in, and then suddenly Kelly LeBrock wants them to demonstrate their courage, so she has a peer. The fact at the time the director says we need to get an actor like the guy that played the villain in The Road Warrior. They said we can just get the guy who was in The Road Warrior. So
Vernon Wells returns, basically playing the same character. Yeah,
the one of the horrible cannibal people in or radioactive redneck people in The Hills Have Eyes. He's in it. He shows up. The same actor shows up, and then third guy is supposed to be like this guy. I think he's supposed to be the Terminator, right? And they all show up at the party, and they're harassing the guests. And they're harassing the girls they have crushes on. They're like, they have to basically step it up and just say, get out of my house, you're not welcome here, or we'll make this real, or
exactly.
It was neat. Kelly LeBrock was gorgeous. Damn, that Steven Seagal. I have no idea how Steven Seagal landed Kelly LeBrock. That is one of the universe's great mysteries. I mean, even at his peak, I'm sorry, she was like she's the fantasy woman at the time. Let's be honest here. Lot of fun.
She retired from acting to start a farm. I kid you not.
Well, you know what? I hope she had happiness and success in that endeavor.
She did, and she still looks great.
Okay, so good for her. No one says you have to act forever if you want to start another career. That's fine. And frankly, she's already immortal because of this movie.
Kelly LeBrock was the two reasons to watch this movie.
Yeah. Oh, funny man. Real Genius. It's funny. You could almost do a double feature of Weird Science and Real Genius, right?
I love Real Genius. This was absolutely, without a doubt, the quintessential Val Kilmer film. I love this movie. He's got some really, really great lines from it. Yeah.
I remember the scene with the popcorn where he makes the guy's house just
fill with popcorn. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. And as a kid, you're thinking, these are the genius students, and I'm thinking, I bet all the weird stuff they're doing science-wise could actually work in the real world if put to the test. That's
this movie has some really, really great quotes. I had a dream last night. Oh, was it the one where you were standing on a mountain, dressed in Greek robes, surrounded by naked women throwing pickles at you? No? Is that just me?
funny movie.
Or what was that? Oh, or as in the immortal words of Socrates, who said, "I drank what?"
Oh, that's funny. No, just a lot of fun. Like I said, you could have done this as a double feature with Weird Science, and you'd be standing pretty tall. This one I never even heard of. What the heck is it? My Science Experiment. I almost feel like this one fell under the radar because of Weird Science.
I did not see this.
Real Genius.
I did see a commentary on this, and I'm kind of glad I skipped this one. This probably was not worth it. Very much. It was very clear. They were trying to do a bit of a ripoff on Back to the Future with absolutely none of the things about Back to the Future that made it good. So
yeah, I mean this was kind of the summer of Weird Science movies.
Yeah,
if you think about it, yeah.
Yep.
Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure.
Which is just weird.
Tim Burton's directorial debut. A lot of fun. I believe we talked about this when we talked about Pee Wee Herman. But I remember this movie. Large Marge Sent You, creepy urban legend. Remember his house with the Mr. T and with the self-serving Mr. T cereal? Remember that at the beginning?
Yes.
And the rich kid in town that wants his bike, and he steals his bike.
Exactly. Of course, I think the what stands out for me is again, we almost have to look at the soundtrack again. Tim Burton soundtrack.
Danny Elfman, I think, did the score for this, right?
Oh no, that's what I meant. Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Did I say Tim? It was a Tim Burton film, wasn't it, or was it not? They wanted to get Tim Burton and they couldn't get him to make the movie. But you're right; it was Danny Elfman's soundtrack.
Which is weird because Weird Science was done by Oingo Boingo, which was Danny Elfman's band. That's interesting.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Weird Science plus Real Genius equals My Science Project, but no one went to see it. Yeah, funny. But Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, a lot of fun. Caught this on cable. Didn't catch this in the theater, but they often said that this was if you're a child, this is who you wanted to be as an adult. That's what this movie was about.
Kinda. That's kind of true.
You would rig your house up with all cool toys and paraphernalia and eat Mr. T cereal for breakfast in the morning and just...
Yep.
That was a good cereal, Mr. T cereal, as I recall.
It was the same recycled cereal, just in a different shape as so many other. It was the same cereal as the Donkey Kong cereal and the C-3PO cereal. It was all that sweetened peanut butter crunch cereal.
Love it.
Yeah.
I know. Probably that's going to be taken off the market soon if it hasn't already.
Well, but the one thing I can say about it is I don't believe they put a lot of artificial colors in it because it was always that, just basic tan color.
Have you seen this, Pray for Death?
No.
I haven't seen this. I do own the Blu-ray. I've been meaning to watch this. This is another of ninja movies were very big in the 80s. And
ninjas! Finally!
Sho Kosugi, he was in, I think, one of the Revenge of the Ninja movie. No, I mean, I need to watch this, actually. But Ninjas Finally. Yeah, Ninjas Finally. Listen to me. The 80s were about many things. They were about Rambo shooting off his machine gun. They were about ninjas were behind the corner.
This was where all that ninja mythology came from. You know,
I mean, it started before this movie, but this was definitely one of the movies that contributed it. Because I think what was?
Oh no, I'm saying this is where it came in the West and the Western zeitgeist.
Well, no, but I mean, I think the first big ninja movie we got here in the United States was the Octagon with Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah,
that was ways earlier. Remember
but this
that?
is also what led to the banning in the West of nunchucks and throwing stars. And it's like, really, really, these are about as non-lethal as you could get. They are the most ineffective weapons there are.
You're older than me. I remember being a kid on the playground, and there'd be some kid, and he says, "Look, I got one of those Chinese stars that he bought from someplace in New York City or something." And like you'd see him throwing it at a tree, and like it would go right through the bark. And there was a South Park episode I remember once where they were pretending to be ninjas, and it goes into this whole thing, and then one of them throws one of the shurikens, and I think it hits Butters in the eye or something.
But the reality is, though, that you have to practice and practice and practice just to get it to fucking stick in anything, and it's half luck.
Yeah.
And you know, the modern theory behind the shuriken is that it was not meant to be this precision weapon. It was meant to be, holy crap, throw it, get people to duck so that you could get away, kind of a weapon.
Oh, because I always thought of it. I always thought of like Batman's the Batarang as sort of a take on the shuriken. You know, like
the Batarang actually functions as a better weapon. I guess
it's a boomerang. Actually, I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Batman, the Christian Bale films introduces, at least in film, the idea of a bat shuriken, a bat shape with the points on either end. Right. That's even worse. That's even harder to get to stick into something. I have to believe that the scenes that show that sticking into whatever, was over and over and over again until they finally got the shot. But the Batarang, at least, is not necessarily meant to be a sharpened thing. It functions as a boomerang, so you can throw it with some precision.
Right. Yeah,
it's usually meant to be used as if not a grapnel, at least something to ensnare somebody with.
Or knock the gun out of a bad guy's hand, that sort of thing.
Exactly, and that actually would be a bit more reasonable. But shurikens are not the. If you got hit with a shuriken, it might hurt, but it probably wouldn't even draw blood because the chances that it actually hits you solidly enough to stick is very remote.
My daughter's father is almost with nunchucks. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the other thing about nunchucks. They're more dangerous to the user than they are to. And I have heard so many protestations about it was a farming implement that was then used. Okay, fine, that's fine. It was a thrasher, big deal. And yes, I could see you using it to disarm somebody with. You you catch the sword, you pull the sword out of their hand, and then you're both disarmed. Continue on. All the shoo looks really neat. That has nothing to do with combat.
So what's the best ninja movie? Ninja 3: The Domination with the actress from Breakin' as a possessed ninja.
Yes, it is, and it's only because it's her.
Yes. I can think of worse ways to get killed, right? No, I'm sorry. Okay, moving on to this is Summer Rental. I have no idea what this is, but it's apparently a John Candy comedy.
I've seen it.
Was it good?
It was okay. It was fun.
I like John Candy comedies, and I thought I saw them all, and then I'm seeing this. Okay.
I actually don't remember it. Looks like Rip Torn, Karen Austin.
Oh. I don't know.
Richard Crenna. Wow.
Yeah, it was a fun watch.
Might be worth checking out. I mean, apparently it's on Amazon, so.
Connie Cleary, we got a $2 super chat. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Connie. She says, Oh, yeah, just from Connie Cleary. Oh, it's a super sticker.
Super sticker. Okay. I wonder what that is. Have to tell us. Candy is funny. Yeah, he's good in anything. Let's move on, though. It's getting late. American Flyers. Do you know what this is?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't this a biking movie or something like that?
I think so.
Let me see. American Flyers. Kevin Costner.
We're getting into August at this point, so we're kind of slipping out of the blockbuster.
Marcus takes his kid brother David with him for a physical test and a brain scan, suspecting cerebral aneurysm like their dad died of. They heard of they head off on bikes for the Big Rockies race with Marcus. This was I do remember this one. A bit of a drama, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With Ray Dawn Chong, also from you remember her from Soul Man
and Commando.
And Commando.
She was a stewardess in Commando.
Right. John Amos, who's always awesome in everything he's ever in.
Yes.
It was. You might want to check this movie out. It's a good one. This one's on Plex as well and Roku.
Okay, well I'll check it out.
Done a couple of watch parties of this on my channel. Very interesting take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Starring Sting as the as Frankenstein and of course Jennifer Beals as the eponymous bride.
He did good work.
Yes, he absolutely did, and it does definitely play into that whole. It takes that very small segment from the original Frankenstein story, where the creature demands of Frankenstein to make him. Basically going for the perversion of the Bible. It is not good for me to be alone. I deserve, and so he begins making a female version of the creature, but then he realizes that what he might actually be doing is creating a new race, and he doesn't want that. So he ends up destroying the people that haven't read the story don't know that he never actually completes the bride in the story. He destroys her before bringing her to life, and which of course sets the creature to destroy him and his family and so on and so forth. So Universal, of course, did with Elsa Lancaster, The Bride of Frankenstein, which does a slightly different take on it. He completes the bride character for the creature. She rejects the creature and favors the creator, which you know how that one ends. This one kind of takes that story even a step further to where he does such a good job on the bride. He decides, I'm going to keep her for myself, and you can get the hell out of here. This does take even more literary reversals. For example, the name of Frankenstein in all iterations is Victor Frankenstein, but they don't ever call Sting. They call him Frankenstein. They don't call him Victor. Victor is the name eventually given to the monster and the name is given to him by the bride, called Eva by Frankenstein. She says, you need a name. How about Victor? It means you will win.
Was Bride of Frankenstein a comedy? The original black and white movie, I would say it's still a horror movie, but there are comedic elements in it.
Yes, so that's a great.
Not quite as dark as the original.
Yeah, and there's even a musical bit in there, I believe. They did go to lighten it a bit, but when they got to Young Frankenstein, there's a lot of elements in Young Frankenstein. They did such a great job with Young Frankenstein to make it look like the movies it was parodying that a lot of people misremember elements of Young Frankenstein as having been in the original, like Bride of Frankenstein and so forth. So,
right,
like there's the scene of the the constable playing darts at the pub. And they redo that, of course, in Young Frankenstein, where he takes him and puts him into his fake arm because the creature had ripped his arm off. That character and the bad arm and everything was in
Son of Frankenstein. He was in the third one.
Son of Frankenstein, right? Yes. You see, it all kind of blends
they blend them all together. Yeah,
they blend them all together in a brilliant way, so well that's why I tend to forget what was where and when and so forth. But so Clancy Brown as the creature, as the monster.
Oh, okay.
You guys, of course, remember him from the Highlander
as Kurgan.
And actually so many things, many Star Trek episodes and appearances. David Rappaport plays
the abusive guard in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, that's right too. Yes, David Rappaport plays Ronaldo, the midget that befriends the monster, and also a Star Trek reference there too. He was originally cast to play and completely filmed the role of Kivas Fajo in The Most Toys, the character that kidnaps Data. They got completely through the filming of that, and they needed to do some pickup shots. They literally could not release it the way it was. They needed a few scenes reshot. They could not get David Rappaport because he was no longer with us by choice. And so they made the decision to completely refilm the episode with a different actor. Heartbreaking. So it literally would have been his last role if that film had been
That was a good episode too, as I recall.
It was a classic episode. I have gotten to see it did eventually get a release thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett on the
Blu-ray. You got to see some of the scenes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
No, not some of the scenes. The whole episode.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, there are some scenes in there that just weren't finished, so they couldn't have been released that way. I did like David Rappaport in The Bride. He didn't do the best performance in Star Trek, so it actually sadly ends up being better as as it was remade.
Right.
Better made fudge.
Fudge is good.
Peanut butter
fudge. Fudge. Okay. And of course Sting as the doctor in this.
Not as big a role as you might expect. For a movie called The Bride, it does tend to focus on Clancy Brown and David Rappaport a whole lot more.
Okay.
And let's face it, they were really the heart of this movie.
Right.
And Sting comes off, he plays it very well. In a lot of ways, he plays it very much the same way he plays Thade in Dune. Not a very likable person.
No.
And Jennifer Beal plays... I think she plays the bride excellently. As somebody, just like the monster, trying to find her place in the world, looking to her creator, almost deifying him a little bit, and realizing he is not a benevolent God. She's being very much victimized by him. But she takes advantage of the opportunities she's given to educate herself and kind of cast off the patriarchy, if you will, but in a very positive kind of way.
Mr. House Party for $10. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. House Party.
You can buy some tea.
Good to see you, my friend.
Moving on to Return of the Living Dead. Here we go.
Yeah, good.
So here's your branching Living Dead thing, right?
Right. So again, the original Night of the Living Dead fell into the public domain.
Well, no,
for a short period of time.
It was, but there was also a problem. See, the original Night of the Living Dead, I believe, had two co-authors. One was Romero, and I forget the other one. Steiner, I think his name was. So he got to do his own Living Dead movies, and he got Dan O'Bannon to write this. And I think Dan O'Bannon said, I'm not going to try to make a serious zombie movie because that's Romero's turf. Let's make a comedy.
Right.
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe Oh, if you're heading out, oh wait, my battery is almost dead, and I'm falling asleep. This is fun, but I'm going to have to call it a night.
Yeah.
That's you take care of yourself. Get some good rest. You could always catch the rerun and see the rest of it later.
I just have something to say. Do you want to party? It's party time. That was the song in this. Remember?
Right.
They're back from the grave and ready to party. Apparently, I worked. Oh, go ahead.
I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this may be where the whole concept of zombies wanting to specifically eat brains comes from.
Because, and why do they want to eat brains?
Because the process of dying, they're alive inside their dying corpse, and they literally feel the pain of the decomposition
makes them forget about the pain of being dead. Yes.
So eating a human brain actually relieves the pain for the short period of time that they're eating.
So we have Leanna Quigley's in this, who's running around naked half the movie with her punk red haircut. And I worked with a gentleman who got the vinyl record set, and he said if you open up the vinyl record, inside was her visage on the vinyl record topless. So
nice!
That's got to be a collector's item.
That is classic marketing.
And this is just great. You have the what is it? You have the scene where the police the police get overrun by the zombies, and then one of the zombies gets on the police scanner after they're all eaten, says send more cops because they want to eat more brains.
This Nate reiterates this element plays this specific element plays into Marvel Zombies, if you ever read those comics.
I see.
Which was very grim stuff.
I wanted to read the Ash versus the Marvel Zombies. Did you know they did a Ash from the Evil Dead versus Marvel Zombies?
I am not surprised at all. I am not surprised at all. Yeah.
In fact, if they were to have Ash in a Living Dead movie, it would probably be one of these. But this is still a comedy series. There's always this button on the back of the chemicals that get loose. Says if trouble happens, press this button or call this number, and they finally call the number at the end of the movie. And then the military says, okay, we'll handle this. And then they press, and then you see this army guy, and he basically presses a button and sends a nuclear missile to the town.
That's exactly what you would do, right? Exactly.
Send more cops. Send the commies. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Brains.
Send more cops. Yeah, they want the brains. But this kind of spawned its own series, too. So,
yes, it did.
All right, moving on to, I haven't heard of this one either, Volunteers. It's another comedy. With I believe is this Tom Hanks again with John Candy? I'd never heard of this one.
I vaguely remember this one. After graduating from Yale in '62, womanizing Lawrence flees a gambling debt that his rich dad won't pay and takes his roomie's place as a Peace Corps volunteer in Thai Golden Triangle with two other PCVs. Will they survive the 2 years? I think I might have seen this one. I liked Rita Wilson in this movie, but I don't remember the details. I really don't.
All right, moving on to the Year of the Dragon, what I believe was a Mickey Rourke getting into trouble in Chinatown movie. Does it ring a bell to you? Have you seen it?
I don't actually think that I did.
No, I don't think I saw it either. Okay. Anyone in the chat? Speak now or ever hold your peas.
Yeah, hold your peas and carrots.
There you go. Moving on to Better Off Dead, the great John Cusack teen movie. You remember this, don't you? I do love this movie.
We actually did a rewatch of this, I want to say, on Big Al's channel.
I was tempted to join. I don't think I could make it that night, but I wanted to because I do love this movie. I love the paper boy that's always after him.
Very, despite what I'm going to suggest, sounds like a very dark idea. It takes a very light look at
someone trying to self-delete,
wanting to remove yourself from the world,
because his girlfriend goes with the preppy guy, and he can't get over her, and then
And I do remember Diane Franklin being in this movie, someone that I was incredibly obsessed with.
As the
back in
French
the 80s.
exchange student, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, I remember that.
It's another one of those nerdy, goofy, down on his luck type characters. Meets up with the hot chick who gives him confidence and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, Angelus has Commando or Red Sonja made the list. Yes, we already did Red Sonja.
Yes.
Commando will not be on. If it was released in '85, though, we're going to cover the non-summer movies next week. So.
Next week, yeah.
But yeah, because I keep wondering where are all the Arnold movies. We just got Red Sonja. $2. I want my $2 cash. Yes, and he won't pay the $2. And
that's right. That's where this comes from. This was that movie.
The paper boy, and then there's one scene where suddenly all the paper boys are surrounding him in a park.
Yup.
Because you're not paying your dues, the $2 dues for your paper, and come on, the paper boy is going to come out of his own wallet if you don't pay. Come on.
That's true. That's true.
All right, moving on to Godzilla '85. This was when Raymond Burr, I believe, came back for a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese film, but I think they had Raymond Burr in it too, right?
Another movie that I saw. Don't remember that well. It. I was not originally a huge kaiju type fan, so it took me a while before I started getting used to
giant monsters. Okay, Troy, I always saw this movie as Better Off Dead as a prequel to Grosse Pointe Blank.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, sure.
Let's move on to Teen Wolf, another Michael J. Fox movie.
Teen Wolf. I've got an action figure. Actually, I don't think it's here. I have it packed away, but one of the werewolves that E.G.O put out, including the Lon Chaney Jr. versions, was a Michael J. Fox as Teen Wolf.
Oh, Godzilla scared the hell out of your 10-year-old self, Angelus. Okay, that's interesting. No, I mean, no, if you think about it, though, Godzilla movies, I mean, especially that very first Godzilla movie that was made in Japan,
they're meant to be scary, and unfortunately,
they're in the horror category. Yeah, I mean, they kind of get lighter as they go along.
Yeah, if you see them at the wrong age or at the wrong time, they don't hit the way they're intended. So
yeah. But Teen Wolf, I still have not seen Teen Wolf. I thought the prospect of a werewolf playing basketball is ridiculous. But maybe you liked it. I don't know.
It was a comedy.
Okay.
It was a comedy.
It's like This Is Your Family Curse. We didn't instead of it being about the birds and the bees, it's about him becoming a wolf man.
I felt it was almost a parody of the Michael Landon. I was a teenage
werewolf. That makes sense. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe I should.
It was also and Ginger Snaps would do it much better in a much more horror element. But this whole idea of becoming a werewolf as a puberty allegory.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Let's move on to what do we got left? Oh, American Ninja.
Okay. This might be the good ninja film, in my opinion.
Hey, I'm gonna
and good. I say good in inverted commas there, you know.
This is Michael. There is nothing more peak '80s than this poster right here.
That's true.
American flag in the background. Michael Dudikoff as the American ninja taking out the evil ninja. Because of course,
Michael Dudikoff is an undervalued American treasure.
Yes. They always made a point in these movies that when Michael Dudikoff was wearing the jeans, they put a little something extra. It's like the whole Spinal Tap thing where they unless maybe he's just that anyway. It's just I don't know if I've seen the first American Ninja. I saw American Ninja 2, where the evil ninja clan was making genetically engineered ninjas, like super ninjas, to take over the world, and it's I get what is he a Marine or something, and he's also trained in ninjutsu or something.
I actually don't remember, but probably that, you know.
And he wears does he wear a white ninja outfit? Oh, yes. American Ninja, the amount of times I rented the sequels on VHS, I lost count. Yeah, well, it's like I said, when you were a kid in the 80s, all the kids loved ninjas. This was a big thing.
Idea of wearing a white ninja outfit. I mean, the whole garbed in black ninja barely makes sense, okay? You could argue, well, to blend in the dark and to hide in the dark. Okay, fine, maybe. what's then the point of the white ninja? You're trying to blend into a snowbank?
I am going to say that on Samurai Jack, there was a great episode where he goes up against a robot ninja, and of course he goes...
Oh, he was a ranger, not a marine.
Yeah. Oh, okay, and he goes, Shinobi, I know of your art, but while you embrace the dark, I embrace the light. And when they fight each other, it's like in this warehouse, and it's white and black, and like Samurai Jack has to blend into the white, whereas the ninja's blending into the black. And of course, as the sun's going down, he's losing the light to hide in. And it's a wonderful episode of Samurai Jack where it's because you kind of get to see finally samurai versus ninja. You never got to see that in Samurai Jack. They finally did that in season 4. But American Ninja 2 was not even filmed to be a sequel, but because Michael's
it's voiced to text. So he said Michael Dudikoff. It came out Michael Daughterkoff.
Oh, I see.
They released it as
an army division of some kind. Yeah, it was an army division of American Ninja Rangers that was top secret, like the IMF.
Yeah, you didn't know that the Army Rangers trained their elite ranger teams to have ninja skills.
I will seek out American Ninja this summer, and I will watch it. And
it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie.
Pray for Death with it. Yes. Big fan of 80s Ninjas movies, and big fan of, I think, Enter the Ninja with Franco Nero. Did you ever see that one? And they overdubbed his voice because his English still wasn't good enough, so there's some other guy talking under, Franco Nero, the great Italian actor, who I believe was, I think his wife was Vanessa Redgrave, as I recall. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Moving on to... what the heck is this?
Compromising Positions. I remember this from the cable days.
So was this like a Skinamax thing or something? What was this?
No, it was a comedy. It was Susan Sarandon and Raul Julia.
I put it on here because Susan Sarandon was in it.
Yeah.
And technically, it's a summer release. It's August still. Yeah.
I honestly I don't remember the details, but a lot of names in there that like Joe Mantegna was in there, Judith Ivey, Edward Herman. Remember Edward Herman? But an ex-newspaper woman who is now a suburban housewife can't resist getting involved in an investigation of the murder of a philandering dentist who had been having affairs with several of her neighbors.
Okay.
R-rated, little bit raunchy, but not Skinamax.
Jessica Hardo says the best ninja movie is Warrior's Way. I'll look for it. Thank you.
Interesting.
All right. Moving on to, I think, Flesh and Blood. The Paul Verhoeven, Rutger Hauer medieval movie where everyone is just awful. Would you remember this at all?
I do.
For Jason Lee as the princess, I think, or the... I promised I would try to watch a movie that I hadn't seen before on this list, so I was trying to watch this earlier. I didn't get quite through it yet, but it's... Oh, boy.
It is. It's a lot. It really is.
It makes Game of Thrones look like Snow White. Okay, that's what
it is. Definitely, it is definitely worth. Again, another one of those high adventure or high fantasy type films. You should definitely look into it.
At least on Game of Thrones, there are still honorable characters, that are trying to do the right thing, even though there are a lot of villains on it too. But yeah, that was Paul Verhoeven's, and I think that ends us. That's it for August, and that's it for summer movies. Now, as Troy said, though, he kind of wanted us to cover more movies from 85, so I said, well, we'll do the rest of the junk next week.
I do find it funny that you're like, well, where are all the Schwarzenegger films? Well, you were the one who decided you needed to specify.
Well, Commando did come out this year. Geek Flag told me it comes out, and I will be talking about Commando next week because that's one of my favorites. It is.
It's a Paul Verhoeven film through and through. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. All right. But that wraps up summer of 85. Well, not yet.
Button. My apologies.
We're getting there.
No, I actually just hit the intro again.
Okay.
I meant to take us back to the.
By the way, someone in the chat was concerned for Netter with the coughing, but I think she's. I don't know if she wants to.
Oh, it's my allergy medicine. It makes me cough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and this is what she's running into. She gets the nasal drip, so the doctor's trying to treat that. Now it dries her out, and now she gets a dry cough. So it's like figuring, in between. Yeah, Ferris Bueller. Bueller. Nope, not tonight. Come back next week. There's going to be a whole.
No, there's no Ferris
part
Bueller. No Ferris Bueller.
Not in '85. Yeah,
because I did see that on the big screen. That might be That might be '86, maybe. That might be the next year. I did see Ferris Bueller on the big screen, though. That was another John Hughes. He did.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think he did direct it actually. I kept thinking I know he wrote the screenplay, but I think he directed that one as well.
And I love when we talk John Hughes. I love talking about the filming locations because they were mostly filmed in the Chicago area. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, I believe in that. In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he poses as the sausage prince of Chicago, or something like he's the son of a sausage manufacturer.
Exactly right. Exactly.
All right, but that was 85. Summer of 85. Good summer for movies. No complaints. Some odd picks in there, but. I don't know. You had something to see every week, I think. So you're doing okay. And movies.
Yeah, and see that was and this is what I feel Hollywood is fearing they're not going to ever get back to.
Well,
when you had not only a lot of movies, you had a lot of great movies, and you had a lot of good movies, and you don't
lot of comedies.
Yeah, and a lot of comedies. You don't have any comedies anymore.
No.
The comedies are lame because they can't offend anybody. I'm sorry, the funniest comedies offend. Get over it, deal with it. If you don't find it funny, don't go see the movie. But 90% of people are going to go see it. Great movies, nobody's doing great movies anymore. And if it's just mediocre to good movies, no, but it's not drawing people into the theaters, But back then, you saw names, you saw, word of mouth and whatever, you'd go see it. And even if it wasn't a great film, it was at least a good movie. And then I'll see a better one next week, maybe. So,
family movies are over, CluuStudio. What do you mean? Pixar's got E.G.O coming out. Good fun for the whole family.
That's exactly what Clue is saying. And welcome, by the way, Clue. Thank you for being
I'm
here.
hearing it's like one of the worst things they ever made from people reviewing it. Because they got rid of all the talent there. They said, get rid of all the old men. That's what they said. And now what are they dealing with? Okay, it's like...
Yep.
Hollywood
Hollywood is not interested in making movies at all. They all they try to do is make blockbusters and franchises. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you try to make a blockbuster, you're going to fail.
They think every movie can be a big tentpole. No, it can't.
And throwing a lot of money into it does not.
No.
You got to work smarter, not harder. So yes, next week we will we'll look at some of the ones we didn't get to, the ones that weren't summer, but were still great movies of 1985.
All right. Excuse me. Sorry. So what do you got going on tomorrow? Anything tonight after this? Or we go tomorrow? Netter's Network, right?
Yep. Tomorrow, The Freshman with Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick. Of course, Sunday we got The Geeky Geezers. And members, be sure, as soon as I finish up here, I'm going to get a poll up with 3 movies from tonight's list. You choose one. We will watch it on Monday's Members Night at the Movies. If you're not a member, $2 a month is all it costs. Consider,
and you get 4 movies.
Yes, we do the members movie nights every Monday, which you get a say in what we watch, and it's so much fun to hang out with a group of friends and watch a movie. So maybe consider that. And those of you that have been here all night have already seen the commercials, so I don't think we need to get any farther into what is coming up this week. So Boomer any last thoughts, any last words for the group?
Nothing. Look to the past for the classics. If you can't find anything new to watch.
Bingo. If you hadn't said it, I would have.
There's always stuff you can find. Yep. Go ahead.
Absolutely. There are hidden gems. There's all the great stuff that people talk about, but there's also some hidden gems that people have kind of forgotten.
Like I need to check out Pritzi's Honor. I'll look at that.
Yes, you absolutely should. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat from Clue. He says, they don't have to make great movies anymore. We are no longer the audience. I believe the movies today are crowdfunded by ESG compliant corporations to push their divisive agenda.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The problem is it's just a waste of money. Because if you aren't getting people in to watch the movies, they aren't absorbing those messages. You know, so it's working at cross purpose.
Sunday should be interesting. Apparently, Sony is sniffing around at Warner Brothers right now, so we'll talk about that Sunday.
Interesting. Yes, because it looks like while Paramount and CBS are looking to combine, looks like Warner Brothers is going to split apart. Netter, any last thoughts, any last words before we end?
I would just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, if you haven't already. And, as Troy had mentioned, if you're not a member, would you consider becoming one?
Absolutely. Without your support, I just can't continue to do this. And, guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for helping me usher in another wonderful weekend. Looking forward to enjoying it with all of you. You guys take care. Salute, and I will see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sir. Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading. Closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. A tapestry of whispers in this corner of the world. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune, crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near. But in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true.